Strap yourself in and enjoy this one, ladies and gentlemen. A rare Thursday night during the winter months in which we're competing against bugger all sport around the world. Yes, the tennis is finished. The footy's back tomorrow night. And the Olympics are still a week away yet. So, all eyes, all focus on the platforms of the GSRC for the next 3 hours or so. And first up on Thursday night motorsport, with thanks to Spreyton Cider, it is round 2 of the DownForce Legends, the LMP2 cars from the Zolder circuit in Belgium. And of course, we head on to the second round of the Porsche Cup tonight, which should be a good one. Another sprint round for the Porsche Cup to get us underway in week 2, and we'll be taking it to the Hungaroring for that. So a little bit of continent-centric in the sense that we're going to stay in Europe tonight, but we will country hop throughout the course of the night. Hope you're enjoying your Thursday night wherever you are around Australia or indeed the world. Hello everyone, I'm Zach Caban. Daniel Correa-Sars here alongside me. 21 degrees the ambient temp, 28 on track. Partly cloudy conditions as qualifying continues for this round of the series. 11:23 local time. Actually, real world time and sim time are almost syncing up quite nicely. There it's only 4 minutes out. It's 7:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here, and we are 8 hours ahead of Belgium at the moment. 3.95 kilometres this circuit. It's been a while since we've visited Zolder in any way, shape or form. So it's a European flavour to a Thursday night. I was just talking with Daniel Correa-Sars actually off air about all things Europe. Of course, it's the centre of the sporting universe at the moment. The only thing we're competing against is the cycling, with the Tour de France, of course, wrapping up this Sunday night. We mentioned France because I said to Daniel, if the opportunity presents itself in a few years' time, France and Great Britain are on the bucket list now that the passport has been renewed. Circuit Zolder, an interesting choice for these cars, but we're looking forward to seeing what they dish up in a Single 40-minute race here tonight. Yes, that's important to note off the top. We had sprint racing last week, got a single 40-minute race this week, and a grid in excess of 30 lining up for it as well. A couple of new names to introduce you to along the way here, including Lockhart Brownlee, the provisional pole sitter here at the moment. 1 minute 19.20, 2.09 clear of Jackson Rayhana. Matt Distill back in third place, only 1,000th of a second behind Rayhana. And Chris Noble, a 1 minute 19.335. Now, if we have a look at where things stand after the opening week of play in DownForce Legends, 56 points for Matt Distill, 50 for Chris Noble, 49 for David Baz, 46 for Jackson Dial, and 45 for Ryan Howard. Guy Leach, 35, Aiden Schweikert, Adam Lavis, Ash Lear, and Jackson Rayhana, the top 10 on the points table at the moment. We should also remind everybody that next week we've got sprint racing from Phillip Island for these guys, which will be well worth the price of admission. Daniel, good evening to you. A little bit of overtime on qualifying tonight because it's not a sprint round. We've been so used to having sprint racing in the entree slot for such a long time on a Thursday night. It feels weird to go back to just one single 40-minute race, but that's more suited to these cars than the sprints, I imagine.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. 100%. The enduro rounds will be much better for the downforce cars. Mainly, of course, that because then we get to see proper pit strategies come into play. And based on what we saw last week on the second race, those will obviously be a really big deal. So it'll be very interesting to see how everyone comes up with their own strategies here at Zolder. And also a great track, I think, for the downforce legends. Mainly for more of a benefit for us, the viewer, than it is the driver, and which is the chicane. I cannot remember the turn name, but it is the chicane that comes off the back straight, because these will achieve flight if you go too far to the right. And I'm sure we will see that at least a couple of times as these guys go around for the 40 minutes.
I'm giving up a triple header home and away for this, so it better be worth it, I'm telling you. And let's be perfectly honest. Now, yeah, as I say, a footy codeless Thursday night, and it's rare that we don't do some sort of continent hopping along the way here. As I said, we're very one continent centric tonight. We're European flavour. Belgium first, Hungary second, the Hungaroring to host the Porsches a little bit later on. That excites me because the Hungaroring's a tight and tricky circuit, and we've got sprint racing tonight, so the boys are going to have to get the elbows out here and get going early in the piece if they are to get on with the job and the task at hand and try and make inroads in that second race. We saw last week that the invert race wreaked havoc both in LMP2 and the Porsche Cup. We can only expect more of the same tonight. Spreyton side of DownForce Legends LMP2. Matt Distill on pole position here. So Distill actually pipped Lockhart Brownlee by 0.023 of a second with his final lap of the run. What about that? Jackson Rayhana from 3, Chris Noble from 4, and then Aiden Luthwaite and Trent Lavis from 5. It was pointed out, actually, in the comments that you just saw. Bugger all separating the top 6 at the moment. A little bit of a gap back to Dylan Walker and Aaron Cooper. Not much between them either, it's fair to say. Both half a second back, but within a tenth of one another. We go back to Aaron Russell and Ashley making up the top 5 rows on the grid. Jackson Dial, Brett Barker from 6, David Baz, Adam Lavis from 7. Lane Thoburn, Guy Leach from 8, Matt Schmidtke, Nick Wood from 9, David Christensen and Tim Fuge from 10, Joe Baldwin and John Baldwin, that's not going to be confusing at all, from row 11. Greg Heaney and Brett Bradbury from 12, Tristan Koch and Kurt Nomenson from 13, Chris Stark, Bobby Camo from 14, Eduardo Zamora, Jaden Green, Aidan Schultz to make up the field. Now, no time setting qualifying from those last 3, so let's see if they actually join the server or not. Whatever the case may be, 28 cars expected to line up here. Zamora's jumped in, that makes 29. They only had a 10-minute qualifying session on the back of a 1 hour and 10-minute practice session here. There was a little bit of carryover time at the end of that qualifying session. This is a 40-minute race, but unfortunately for us, once again, Daniel, we're sitting here talking you through a full formation lap behind the pace car before we get going. So that's obviously the doing of Joe Baldwin. and we will hold him accountable for that at the end of the night. Interesting to see the growth in this field week on week. There are 29 starters tonight, so that's steady, but Trent Lavis is on the grid. That excites me to see how he's going to go with these cars. He is a versatile performer who has enjoyed success in many a category here. His brother Adam, of course, synonymous with the club. He's lining up to down in 11th place. We got Matt Distill, who basically lobbied and petitioned for this series to come to fruition, and delivered in spades last week with the first and a third to take the championship lead here. We've got further back, Dylan Walker's a new name, an unknown commodity there. You got the regular combatants, the regular fixtures that we saw through Formula V last season, dominating the back half of the field here. David Christensen makes his start up there in outside the top 20 now. Have a look at how far the spread out this field is already, ladies and gentlemen. Greg Henny, it'll be interesting to see what him and the Whiskey Business stable can do. Chris Stark from the back of the grid and Eduardo Zamora. Hard to go past Distill after his form last week, but I'm interested to see what Lockhart Brownlee brings to the table, and whether Jackson Rayhana, Daniel, can undo the wrongs of last week, because by gee, he could not take a trick.
Yeah, I feel really bad for him, because we're used to seeing Jackson Rayhana always put on stellar performances. We saw him take out the Super Formula Lights last season, and yeah, so for him to come into the DownForce Legends and then to have the run that he had last week, you definitely hope that the tables will turn for him, at least this one and in future weeks. And like you said, Trent Lavis, really interesting to see him on the grid too. Like, he is very, very talented in multiple types of classes, so we'll see how that goes. I am very excited with 31 cars, but I do have a little bit of PTSD from the Porsche Cup from last week as well, so hopefully this is clean. I wouldn't want to see people crashing out immediately. Zolder is a little bit tricky in terms of its width, especially on some of these corners, so hopefully they're just steady, take it calm for lap 1, and then once everybody's tyres are up to temp, then just absolutely wick it out.
I should have perhaps been a little bit better organised before we got going. I was just reaching for the strepsils. I might need them tonight. Get set, ladies and gentlemen, let's go! Round 2 of the championship race, 3 of the campaign underway. LMP2, the DownForce Legends from Circuit Zolder in Belgium. Terrific start from Matt Distill, converting pole position into the early lead, and Jackson Rayhana went with him to get the better of Lockhart Brownlee. Everybody, I'm happy to report, cleanly, smoothly, safely away. The exception, Joe Baldwin. Off the road down there in 29th, down 8 places already. Curtin Omenson not mucking around early. He's up 4 spots. Jackson Dial's made progress, getting by Ash Lear there. You're riding with Lear at the moment. A rare trip to Circuit Park Zolder. And great to see it on the calendar. It's the lesser known of the Belgian venues, of course. We will be at Spa next week for GT3. We will visit there in the Porsches at some point, I'm sure, as well. But right now our focus is LMP2. 40 laps around here. It'll be interesting to see where we get with regards to laps. I'll calculate that for you in just a few moments. That was Joe Baldwin's moment. Everybody managed to take safely just evasive action to avoid him. And here is Bobby Camo having a moment as well. Oh. Jumping up the curb. Yep. If you go to the far side there and you go to the wrong side of the curb, you've just got to stay on the wrong side of the curb. No good trying to launch across them. Ben's just reminding us Spa 4 times next week, ladies and gentlemen. You won't want to miss that. A saturation of Spa, if you don't mind. In the same mould as we've saturated you with Road America and Mount Panorama in the past. It's a legendary circuit. So the reason, and just so that everybody's clear, I normally have some strepsils sitting on the desk, but they'd gone walkabout. They were in my backpack, so I had to reach for them. I'm still not 100%. The voice box still not back to 100% after last weekend's Hyundai Excel Racing at QR. And we'll just see how we ease into the night here. If it's anything like what we saw last week, I reckon I'll need the strepsils before the end of the broadcast. 2:25 gone. You're watching Thursday Night Motorsport across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube, the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Through that right-hander, left, right, down the back straight we go towards that final chicane that'll bring them back onto the main straight here. You can see pit entry is straight on at that last corner and not dissimilar way to what you see at the Silverstone circuit in England. Starting the calendar as well, saturating the calendar as well as the racetrack. Yes, exactly. So is that the hint that there might be some rain next week when we get to Spa? I like it. I like it. Jackson Rayhana, we ride on board with him. He's keeping that still honest. 1 minute 19.907. Wow, that's hot pace early from Jackson Rayhana. So that makes the maths of it pretty simple, doesn't it? As they smash the ripple strips through the chicane. So Zolder, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, just a whole heap of straights intertwined with some chicane work, be they 2 corners or 3 corners, those chicanes, as you can see there. So let's round it up to 1 minute 20, 3 laps every 4 minutes, 10 fours in 40 and 10 threes in 30. So that suggests that we're going to get somewhere in the vicinity of 30 laps tonight with a splash and dash for fuel. So 40 minutes, 3 laps every 4 minutes. And then you get 10 fours in 40, 10 threes in 30, and therefore that makes the maths exceptionally simple for a change. 75% of the laps to the minutes, if you like. Matt Distill, the leader here. Jackson Rayhana second. Lockhart Brownlee's holding on to third. Hayden Luthwaite up to fourth. Chris Noble back to fifth. Dylan Walker up to sixth. Trent Lavis is back in seventh. It's a fair bit of musical chairs going on there at the moment. We ride with Aaron Russell, who's down 2 spots. Jackson Dial's up 2. Aaron Cooper and Ashley remain exactly where they started, as does Matt Distill, Brett Barker, David Baz, Adam Lavis, Lane Thurburn and Guy Leach. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers in the top 16 have changed positions so far. And Jackson! Oh no! Jackson Rayhana! Off driver's right. Out of the chicane heading up the hill. I saw that pop up in the far corner of my eye. I got the off-track alert in red. And I was hoping it wouldn't be the great man, but it was. So let's have a look at it. Chasing Matt Distill.
That is exactly what I was talking about. Yep.
Bang. You've got to be so respectful of those ripple strips in these cars. They will crucify you otherwise. And Rayhana rejoins in 13th place and undoes everything I was talking about there a moment ago. Up until that point, and now the number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up until that point, the number was 8. 8 drivers in the top 16 had moved up or down a spot, and 8 had not. Now that number is 9 and 7. Nick Wood and Matt Schmidtke, 17th and 18th, also -1 and +1. And David Christensen and Tim Fuge make up the top 20. So far, so good. 29 starters and 29 still running. But that's a defining moment. Once again, Jackson Rayhana has made a rod for his own back and he's made work for himself for the rest of the night here. Jackson Dial, big dive down the inside. Very nicely, cleanly done on Brett Barker. Aaron Russell, the next target. So there's a bit of bargy going on here because Aaron Russell was 11th last time we checked in with him. He's now 9th. So there's some progress being made. Part of it was Jackson Rayhana. And David Baz just forcing his way through on the outside now of Brett Barker. Rayhana's tucked in behind there. He will be looking to waste no time in getting by. Watch for the last corner, if not turn 1. See, this is the thing, isn't it, Daniel? Even though there's plenty of corners on this circuit, there's a lot of chicanes, there's not necessarily that many legitimate overtaking opportunities that are risk-free.
No, exactly, and that's what I was saying earlier with the Zolder's width. It's one of those tracks where you either have to be very, very committed and brake late, like we saw Jackson Dial do down towards that chicane, and sort of just force your way through, or you have to set up a move on one of the straights that populate here in Zolder. So once you can do that, as you can see, number 57, Ray Harner, just goes down the inside and moves past Brett Barker. Nice and easy. That's a textbook example.
Aaron Russell, you just caught him. Driver's right there going up the hill. Same thing as Jackson Ray Harner, I'm going to predict. Let's have a look. Deep into the corner. Smash one, ripple strip, smash two. And it flicks you hard right. Costly moment for Russell. Down outside the top 20 now. Sorry, 19th he is. I've only got 18 to do a page, so I've got to remember that. On my timing screen here. And then we've got to get the scroll button out and do some work. 1 minute 19.831 for Lockhart Brownlee, the fastest lap of the race. 1 second shy of Matt Distill at the moment. He's got 1.808 in loose weight. He's got the pressure from Chris Noble. We're back with Jackson Ray Hunter, who's fought his way back to 11th now. 8 minutes gone. Whoa. 1/5 of the race distance here, folks. 1/5 race distance. 8 minutes gone. And again, 6 laps in 8 minutes. 5 6s are 30, 5 8s are 40. So I don't see how the mathematics can be flawed tonight.
Just going to point out.
I like it much easier when it's simple like that.
Oh. Exactly. So if anybody with a keen ear just caught that, I'm just going to pride myself. I didn't mean to do it. It's an absolute fluke, but I was on board with Jackson Ray Harner and I switched to Aaron Cooper because he was about to have a close fight here with Trent Lavis. And by some form of a miracle, they were at the exact same rev range, so the audio sync was perfect.
Very rare does that happen.
Wow, he's really pushing up towards the back of Trent Lavis now. So Lavis is actually dropping from the back of Walker there in P5. Not something that I expected to see. I'm not sure if maybe he had a little bit of an off. No, nothing's coming up of an off track or anything like that. So not exactly sure what's happening, but we know what Aaron Cooper's like. We know that he's on the aggressive side of driving. And so Trent's going to have to make sure that he keeps his rear nice and clear in the defense. Otherwise, Aaron will take advantage of any gap that is given. But with all of that, they are dropping back from the leaders substantially. They're still doing a great job out in front. Brownlee's keeping him honest, though. 0.6 is only the gap. However, they have managed to put almost a 3-second gap between themselves and P3. So it does look, at least for now, when we're 10 minutes in, that it is a race of 2. But again, pit stops yet to come, and anything can happen, especially with that chicane, because it's already taken some victims.
Indeed. And I'm sure there's a few more in waiting. Not they would want to be, of course.
No,
but it's the law of statistics, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there's Guy Leach, 14th at the moment. But look at that freight train. There are an enormous amount of cars within close proximity to one another, headed by Adam Lavis in 12th. They're only a second off Brett Barker as well, it's important to note. And Aaron Cooper's just lost out to Dylan Walker. Aaron Cooper's on pit lane. Aaron Cooper's on pit lane. Now, is this his scheduled pit stop? Let's have a look. Is this his scheduled pit stop, Aaron Cooper? I think so. Oh, yes, that's intentional. He's made his way into pit lane.
Why does the register has crashed?
8 laps gone, and he obviously believes we're in the window. So he's opting for a 30-minute run home, if that's the case. Or close enough to it. Because we know that there'll be a smidgen of overtime attached to this race with the pit lane transit added to the time. We know that not everybody's going to run in those 1 minute 19s for the balance of the evening. We expect the white flag to fly somewhere in the last 3/4 of a minute. That caught me out a couple of times on the weekend. I'm so used to commentating SimWorld Motorsport these days that I caught myself saying white flag next time round, and I'm like, no, it's Australian Motorsport, you idiot. Last lap board, please. Fair dinkum. I knew it was going to catch me out eventually and occasionally, but fair dinkum. I think it caught me out twice in one day last week. It was so unexpected. Daniel Correa knows, as to our audience at home, after I mentioned it on Monday night. I got off air here Thursday night, and then a deal was done to go and do some XL racing commentary over the weekend, which I loved, of course, but would have Much preferred a bit more notice on that one. Here's David Christensen, 17th under pressure. He's up to bail out of that log jam of traffic. He's in pit lane as well. Now, Tim Fuge is sitting there 18th. So already, several drivers have opted for pit lane. David Christensen, Curtin Omenson and Aaron Cooper. Oh, actually, hang on. No. Daniel Correa might have been right. There wasn't something right with Aaron Cooper's stop. He has parked up. He's done. Aaron Cooper has parked up and is done. David Christensen and Curtin Omenson are right. They're on pit road. They're continuing. But Aaron Cooper has parked up. Aaron Cooper's out of the race. That did not look terminal to me. It looked like a routine pit stop as he came into pit lane. And then all of a sudden, he's parked up and done. What the hell?
Nothing.
Very bizarre.
Yeah, nothing's showing up on the event log as to what that could have been. This is him coming into the pit lane, and then he goes.
Oh, he doesn't even continue. Wow.
And then he jumps from the pit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a weird one.
That is a very weird one. Aaron Cooper's night is done. He was Trent Lavis in the meanwhile. So, already one retirement. Aaron Russell now to pit lane as well. Well, I'm interested in what Jackson Rayhana's strategy is going to be now that he's found himself back up inside the top 10 in 9th place. Can he work his way back forward a little bit further and then go about strategy play a little bit differently, a little bit more tactfully to try and make inroads on Matt Distil and Lockhart Brownlee? Now, I think the only thing that reels him back in properly is a safety car. The likelihood of that is slim.
So it does look like there is some form of issue where anytime one of these guys goes through the pit lane start, it registers as a crash in the event log, which is why that keeps coming up. So I'm not sure why that's the case, but yeah, none of these guys are actually crashing.
Winton vibes all over it.
Yeah, so yeah, none of these guys are actually crashing. They're just going into pit lane.
The only thing not in common with Winton, by the way.
But yeah, I'm still at a loss as to what it is that caused Aaron Cooper to decide to leave the session. Either he had hardware problems or maybe something had come up. In any case, it's unfortunate. But we go down one more driver. And look at those gaps. They have really started to expand. If I can just bring up the pit stops. So nobody in the top 25 have pit yet, so everyone's still on even footing there. It's Aaron Russell, David Christensen, Curtin Omenson, who have pit, and it looks like Aaron Cooper, who is back. No, he's still out, so never mind. So yeah, it's just those three at the back there have elected to pit this early into the race. I don't know if that's... Surely you have to do 2 pit stops. You wouldn't be able to make it to the end from there, I don't think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure because, well, we're all going to learn together tonight because this is the first time we've done a 40-minute race in this category. So I'm not sure what the service settings are. Joe Baldwin's responsible for all of that. So we'll learn on the fly here. 12 laps gone, 40% race distance, 16 minutes gone. And Matt Distil leads, 1 minute 20.838 last time round. Brownlee, Luthwaite, Noble, Walker, Lavis, Lear, Rendial, Rayhana, Barker, Lavis, Thoburn, Leach, Schmidtke and Baz, the top 15. And look at Guy Leach, that's a great run down the main straight. To the inside of lane, Thoburn to turn 1. To 12th he goes. Nice. Wide, oh jeez. Lucky to hang on to it there.
Guy actually did a really good job there. Brett Barker had pulled up most of those the car behind him, which is Adam Lavis, and then that had also pulled up Thoburn, and Guy Leach had seen that, gone wider onto the penultimate corner, and then managed to use that exit speed down the main straight. So it was a really, really good move from him. Now he'll most likely try and pounce on Adam Lavis here, but we all know how well Adam Lavis defends, so it's not going to be as easy. And at the front, still everybody's within that 1.5 2-second marker there. The only real fight. Trent Lavis and Dylan Walker there for P4 or P5. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
Oh, and I may
Trent
have put
Lavis.
the mocker on him.
I think you may have. I think you may have just put the kiss of death on T. Lavis. I heard a little bit of. Let's have a look at this. I'm sure I heard a little bit of panel damage work going on there. Yep.
Ooh.
Oh wow!
Wait, what?
What the hell was that?
Did he run into the back of? Was it maybe Trent going into the pit lane?
Innovative action, and he's gone onto the grass. Watch this.
Oh, no way!
He did catch the rear of the car in front. I reckon.
Yeah, Trent was obviously.
The fairest of margins.
Trent was obviously going into the pit lane, and
what on earth was that?
Dylan was ahead, and Dylan slowed up more for the corner, and it caught Trent off guard, and Trent's obviously gone right into the back of Dylan's car. Now, I don't see any significant damage on the right rear of that car, so I think Dylan Walker's got away with that, but I'm sure Trent Lavis has something to pay in that pit lane.
It was a 10.52 second pit stop, and he's the best of those to have stopped so far. And sure, I reckon he's been compromised slightly through all of that. I reckon he would have had to have taken his fast repair, but by gee, that's a wild ride. If ever I've seen one, that's. I mean, looking at it the first time, we'll look at it again. I'm sure it almost looked as though he'd hit a manhole or something like that, and just launched. You know, when it looks like you're running on a smooth, unimpeded bit of, and all of a sudden, it looks like Brenton Hobson had something happen to him at Road Atlanta, which was not dissimilar. There was just a random glitch out of nowhere that sent him flying. And that was in a TCR car, if memory serves. 20 minutes gone this time by, and Matt Distill's on lap 15. So David Baz in 13th at the moment, holding off Lane Thoburn. I still can't believe that. That's one of the wilder rides you've ever seen for Trent Lavis. We'll have a look at it again next time, I'm sure. But here's Dylan Walker in the meantime. Uh-oh. Oh, no. No. Another one bites the dust. Another one smacks the curb and pays the price. Here's Ashley. Down the inside. Nope. No room there. Distill, Brownlee, Luthwaite, Noble, and Walker the top 5. Dial is 6th. Rayhana is 7th. Lear is 8th. Bit of noise and cacophony going on upstairs here at the house at the moment, so I reckon the landlord's just arrived home. I haven't seen him all day, that's why I say that. Now here's Guy Leach and Adam Lavis, and that's a bit of nice driving from Adam Lavis to defend Leach for the moment. Ashley has come to pit lane. Now Leach all over the back of Lavis to turn 1. Lavis goes deep through the corner. Holds position. Leach tried to get the run off the corner. Had to tuck back in and follow Lavis through. Through that double apex right-hander. And it just sort of keeps going round on itself. Up the hill towards the chicane that's been oh so problematic tonight.
Oh, God, Leach. What a run.
No, that's a magnificent run, isn't it? Down the inside, Leach can't get it done. Lavis covers him off.
The switch. Oh,
So,
I thought
I tell you what, well done. Well done to all the teams that have managed to manoeuvre their regular liveries from like a GT3 or a GT4 or a TCR onto the LMP2 cars the way that they have. Those Bailey's Ladders cars look magnificent.
It's all the hard work of Paul Wood, I believe. Oh, Jackson, what is going on? Jackson, he's got a damaged tyre.
That's another one. That's another one. Rayhana's in the pit lane. That could be terminal. He couldn't pull that up. What on earth has happened this time here for Jackson Rayhana? To the right-hander.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yep. Every day of the week.
And it broke the
Every
suspension.
day of the week.
And yeah, you can see him limping there, the car. So that front right wants to just look to the left. It's cockeyed. Oh, that's hell.
Rayhana has not been able to buy luck in this series. Yep, lap 1, race 1 at Mugello was all his own doing. He got caught up in that incident on his own accord. But then race 2 of round 1 was not his fault. He had to take evasive action. He was an innocent bystander caught up in some other garbage that was happening around him. Then again tonight, that curb has bitten him hard, and then the second incident, not his own doing. So it's a 50-50 record for Jackson Rayhana at the moment. Lee Partridge tuning in, cheering on Chris Noble at the moment. Again, get your comments in, folks. Feel free to interact with us, ask us some questions, make some comments, pass on some observations. We're more than happy to engage with your comments over the next 3 hours or so here on the platforms of the GSRC. In fact, it'll be 2.5. We've been on air for half an hour. I've got no intention of being here that close to 11 o'clock tonight, thank you. And I say that because it's been a very long week so far, and I've still got radio work to get through tomorrow night and Saturday morning before I can clock off for a few days just yet. Now, Tim Fuge and Greg Heaney to pit lane. We've all had a big night last night. We're about to have some very sleepless nights in the next few weeks, of course, folks. If you're watching on the Olympics from Paris, get underway next Wednesday night. 7:30 Eastern Standard Time competition from 10:50 p.m. and that's on 9Gem with the men's football. The men's rugby sevens kicks off on 9 from 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. And then on Thursday night, we saddle up and go again from 9:45 Eastern. So as soon as we're done with the Porsches, I'm not sure we'll bother with too much of a post-race show next week. We'll be off and straight out of here, go and watch some Olympics. It'll be fantastic. 24.5 minutes gone, and Matt Distill is the leader. Lockhart Brownlee is second. Aidan Luthwaite is third. Chris Noble is fourth. And things are just, fizzling a little bit at the moment, but we're partway through that pit sequence, and the field is far from cleansed. Top 13 yet to stop. Best placed of those two have stopped is Trent Lavis. Everyone beyond Trent, with the exception of Joe Baldwin and Eduardo Zamora, have stopped. Jackson Rayhana has been on pit road for 2 minutes and 19 seconds, so his night is done. Bobby Camo out of the race early in the piece, so too Aaron Cooper. Everybody else still running, so it looks like Rayhana is going to be retirement number 3. Sean Baldwin is a lap and a half down. Tristan Koch is a lap and a half down. Kurt Nomanson, Brett Bradbury as well. And they could still be a lap down by the time the pit lane sequence or cleanse is complete. 25.18 here, Matt Distill the leader after 19. Should be 11 to go this time by. If I've done the numbers right. If I've done my homework properly. Whoa, Guy Leach pushing it to the absolute limit there. On the ragged edge. Across the grass and the ripple strip. And then flicks it through the right-hander. Left, right. The run down to the final chicane and back to the main straight. He'll come. And it's interesting to see, Daniel, that we're 26 minutes into the race and still so many of these guys pushing on. Adam Lavis comes in just this time by.
Yeah, so you're starting to see more and more of them come in. But you're right, all the guys at the front are deciding to go for the longer early stint. Matt's doing a really good job at the front there. 1.8 seconds between himself and Brownlee. Luthwaite, that gap has increased. It was about 2.5 seconds, it's now at 3. And Chris Noble at 3.9. And so, unless something major happens, it does look like the only real race is going to be the guys at the front. But Matt Distill showed an exemplary couple of races last time. And he's no different this time, mate. So we'll see if he can hold on to this and take another win here for round 2. Trent Lavis is actually in an attack range now, coming up on Chris Stark. Neither of these guys... Trent has pit. Chris Stark yet to pit, so I'm sure that Trent will get a very easy overtake soon. Chris decides not to... Oh, we're on the opposite side of the track. That baited me there. I really thought we were on the final corner. But no. Is that Guy Leach the Iron Man, or just Iron Man? Or just Iron Man or Aero? Andrew, I'm going to need you to clarify that one, because I'm not following.
Oh, hang on. Are you telling us that you don't know Guy Leach, the Iron Man?
No.
As in the famous Nutrigrain series Iron Man legend?
Okay, no, I didn't know. No, I am
but
not.
No, it's not. It's not
follow.
that Guy Leach. It's not that Guy Leach. I think we've had that conversation a few times before. Matt DeSille, Lockhart, Brownlee, Dylan Walker and Jackson Dial and Brett Barker and Matt Schmidtke continue on. Chris Noble's been into pit lane. So too Aidan Luthwaite, Trent Lavis, Guy Leach, David Baslane, Thurburn, Chris Stark, all in pit lane at the moment. Joe Baldwin continuing on. Ashley finds himself now on the cusp of being back inside the top 10 once the pit lane cycle has completed. Riding with Aidan Luthwaite, following Chris Noble. Matt Schmidtke's much further up the road ahead of them. That's like traffic that you're looking at there. So zooming on by. 28 minutes gone, 21 laps gone. 9 to go. Aidan Luthwaite all over the back of Chris Noble like a cheap suit. To the outside he goes, to the chicane. Oh, no, sorry, to the right-hander that leads to the chicane. Side by side we go. Luthwaite had to yield, had to tuck back in. He'll have another crack, no doubt, in the next short while on Chris Noble, but it's not this time by the line. Noble can't afford to put a foot wrong here because Luthwaite's right there. Main straight again. These two guys have just completed lap 21. They've got 9 to go. And that allays our fears as well. The clock, where the clock's at, means that we'll get back to the line with maybe 15, 20 seconds on the clock and get that last lap in without any concern, any rush, any drama. And Luthwaite had a little look there, a little poke, but couldn't find a way through. That's really good running from Chris Noble. Much faster than the Formula V, in which we've seen him tail the competition up in the past. These LMP2 cars, but great to see him showing his versatility here tonight as well.
Yeah, he's put up some really good defensive lines here against Aiden. We saw you got close. Oh, it's get sideways. Jeez. Coming out of the hairpin.
That was a moment and a half.
Yeah, the LMPs do give you a little bit of forgiveness on that, which is nice. If you've got your settings dialed in, you can catch the slides pretty well in these cars. And yeah, Aidan Luthwaite had a couple of mode. That's a lot of smoke. Who's that coming from? Someone in the pit lane.
Yeah, someone in the pit lane's billowing a tremendous amount of smoke. That's Jackson Rayhana. I think that's Jackson Rayhana. He's been stationary for 8 minutes now. His night's done. Forget about it. Because to be in this fight, you'd have to be finishing 24 laps to be classified at 75%. He's about to go 7 laps down. Rayhana's night is done. Wow. Can't say I saw that one coming. Noble in 7th, fending off Luthwaite in 8th. The leaders to pit lane. Distill, Brownlee and Walker. Brownlee's only a second away from Distill. Brownlee's punched out the fastest number of the night by a long stretch, 1:19.483. Luthwaite down the outside with a big send on Noble. Couldn't get it done. Could not get it done. But Noble is very well aware of his presence now. And look at that too as well. There's more lap traffic in behind them. There's more lap traffic in front of them. There's cars everywhere as they make their way through. They're beneficiaries of the pit lane sequence here. They've come back out in the top 5. Dylan Walker's going to come out 6th. Trent Lavis actually has pipped him. Brownlee's all over just still like a cheap suit. Brett Barker's carrying on with it. Brett Barker the only one yet to stop now. He'll get to lap 24, so that answers the question, Daniel. Yes, you can pit that early. You can pit as early as Aaron Cooper and the likes did and get home. This is mouth-watering stuff here. pressure cooker situation. You don't want to be that lap traffic. Thankfully, they got out of the road. Here he goes, Luke, trying to get up the outside. To the chicane, right, left, right again. Noble's holding on for now. The key word is now.
Yeah, if you were Eduardo Zamora there, you would have been clenching a little bit, because that's not what you want to be. Not when these guys are fighting like they are. So Matt still retakes lead as Brett Barker comes into the pits. Brownlee actually exits out of the pits. That's significant. So Matt Distill was in the pit box for 10.18 seconds. Lockhart Brownlee was only there for 9.7. That means he's come out and he is now sub 5/10. So he is in true attack range now. We can see everything resolve as Brett Barker is into the pit lane. So Aiden Luthwaite's in a really good attack range here for Noble, but Noble is not letting him have this easy at all. He has been putting him through his paces, and Luthwaite is still yet to find a crack in that armour. And Brownlee seems quite fast. We might have to switch between these two battles as they develop. Aiden is looking on that inside, but unfortunately his exit doesn't allow him to shoot up the inside there.
It's great that we've got two battles to focus on here in the closing stages. There it goes, Aiden Luthwaite. Make it one. Luthwaite bites the sand here, the kitty lit up on the exit of the chicane. He actually jumps the chicane. He went straight across it. Dead set lucky that it didn't flick him. Wow. Brownlee now second to Distill, half a second the margin, 5 to go at Zolder.
Oh, what do you think? Just how much they push on the exit of turn 1. There's a lot of forgiveness there. And obviously now that they've, after that iRacing patch, the sand acts a little bit more like sand. So you probably won't spin out, but it will significantly slow you down. So you don't want to go too far wide. But you would think, I mean, Matt doesn't have the ability to think about taking it safe right now, because any inch that he gives, Brownlee will probably take 2. So right now Matt's doing a fantastic job leading, but again the back marks are coming into effect. You can see that yellow car in front, that is Nick Wood there, and so hopefully these two will catch him in a position on track where it won't be too much of an issue for him to just get out of the way. But if you're Lockhart Brownlee, you'll want it to be the opposite. You'll want him to definitely get in the way and give you an advantage, as long as he's not splitting you from your target ahead.
Onto the main straight, 4 laps to go, this time by the line. We're inside 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get back to the line with about 40 seconds on the clock for the start of that last lap. Brownlee has not put a foot wrong tonight. Distill and Brownlee are 1 and 2. They led the field to green. Distill only got there by the way of a last gasp effort in qualifying. Brownlee's all over him like a cheap suit though. 1 foot wrong from Distill, and it's Brownlee's to lose all of a sudden. They've gapped the competition. 11.9 seconds on Chris Noble and Aiden Luthwaite. Luthwaite, 1:19.380. Responds on the back of making a mistake at that very point of the circuit to the left-hand side last time by with the fastest number of the night. And by a margin as well. He's put 1/10 of a second on Brownlee's best. Distill's best at 1:19.7, so he hasn't needed that fastest lap of the night yet. He's just needed to be consistent to retain the lead here. Box seat with 3 to go. Trent Lavis is 5th. Dylan Walker, Jackson DL, Ashley, Aaron Russell, Brett Barker, the top 10. The big story of the night, you see pluses all through the top 15. -2 for Adam Lavis in 16th. And then the long list of retirements beyond that. I mean, Jackson Ray Hunter, Bobby Kamoa, and Aaron Cooper. And then those that ran into trouble on pit road. Nick Wood was stationary for 48.3 seconds. He's one of, what is it, 6 cars that are lapped down at the moment with 3 laps to go. Nick Wood, Eduardo Zamora, John Baldwin, Tristan Koch, Kurt Nomenson and Brett Bradbury. Joe Baldwin, despite running into trouble on lap 1, remains the last car on the lead lap. He might have a chance of staying on the lead lap if he can hold off Distill and Brownlee. But then again, you wouldn't want to be, Joe, because you are the next on their hit list and you could be embroiled in this fight at the moment. In saying that, Distill has seen his opportunity to break clear and has done just that. Distill is now 1.4 to the good. He's found an extra gear. He's broken clear. Brownlee now looks like he's going to have to surrender and consolidate second here. But they're well clear of Chris Noble and Aidan Luthwaite and Trent Lavis. There's nothing in the way of positional battles happening on the circuit right now. It is fizzling out rather slowly with 2 laps to go for Matt Distill this time by the line.
I wonder if it's fuel related. I wonder if Brownlee maybe didn't fuel enough. He had a much shorter stop. In that case, but then again, he has brought it down back to the 1 second mark. I don't see any off-track notification for him either, so it's just weird to see him drop back by that much in a lap. So we'll see how it goes, but as you said, we've only got a lap and a bit to go. And again, Matt is still doing a great job. How far ahead is Joe Baldwin to them? I'm sure he's significantly down the road. Yeah, he's already making his way down towards the chicane, so... yeah, unless something... the blue happens, I think Matt's got this one in the bag. And
that'll be 3 rounds on the trot.
Yeah, 100%. He's again, the reason why he picked it. But it is great to see the performance there. Great
play to your strengths.
Starkey is my hero.
Okay. Well, Starkey's had a good run up, 9 spots from 27th to 18th.
See, that's interesting there too. Brownlee's managed to bring it down to 0.4. Wait, what?
What? Yeah, exactly. What indeed? All right. Brace yourself, folks.
No
1 lap to go.
Yeah, that's...
There's no push to pass in these things that I'm not aware of, is there?
No, there's not. That's what I mean. There's no...
Yeah. I don't know what's going on here, but whatever the case, Lockhart Brownlee has ensured that we've got a last lap thrill on our hands. White flag in the air in Belgium. Let's go. To turn 1. Oh! Just barely hung onto it, did Brownlee. Throwing everything at it. Trying to keep Matt Distill honest, and he's done that. But now it's about the race win. Distill and Brownlee. Miles clear of anybody else. Luthwaite's got back to within a second of Noble, but I don't think it'll be enough. Through they go. Left, right. A kink up over the hill. They'll flick it around to the left. To that right, left, right chicane sequence now. Distill's keeping it steady here. And stable. That's what he needs to do. There's only 2 more real legitimate opportunities here. Oh, he's going for it. Brownlee went for it. Didn't get it. 1 more opportunity. It's the chicane at the end of this short shoot. He won't be close enough. He won't have enough. But what a gallant effort nonetheless. Matt Distill. Last turn, checkered flag onto the main straight. Job done in Belgium. 2 rounds on the trot for Matt Distill. Spreyton Cider does it again. "30 laps later, Matt Distill remains the championship leader in LMP2. Great drive and pushed all the way from Lockhart Brownlee. As we said, Brownlee was only picked for pole in the very closing stages, and what a pivotal sort of moment that turned out to be. Having pole position worked to Matt Distill's favour. He was the longer of the 2 in the pit stops by 0.4 of a second. And the winning margin, 0.68. Off for Dylan Walker, but he's got past the line, so that doesn't matter. Chris Noble, 3rd. Aidan Luthwaite, Trent Lavis, Dylan Walker, Jackson Dial, Ash Lear. Aaron Russell got back to 9th. And Brett Barker in 10th. Schmidtke, Christensen, Baz, Thoburn, Leach the top 15. And we should point out, but the big story of the night is that Jackson Rayhama did not make it home. Bobby Camo and Aaron Cooper also retirements in all of that. The biggest winner of the night, 9 positions gained for Chris Stark, up from 27th to 18th. No one gained more than that. And the biggest losers were 24 lost for Jackson Rayhana and 21 for Aaron Cooper. Fastest driver of the race went the way of Aidan Luthwaite, 1:19.380. There were a few different leaders throughout the course of the night as the pit sequence played out and the field was cleansed, but no one was able to stop Matt Distill from making it 2 on the trot. Stand by, of course, folks. We'll hear from some of the drivers here in just a few moments' time. Not a bad race. I mean, yeah, sure, a little bit lacking in substance at the end there in terms of on-track positional battles, but really, you had to keep your wits about you tonight. You had to respect the circuit and the ripple strips of it. You had to be so careful. As Trent Lavis, I'm looking forward to hearing Trent Lavis's explanation of everything that's gone on there. He found out all too well that you got to respect this place. Still don't know how he saved that. Probably the fact that he was going into pit lane is the only reason he was able to still hold on to a top 5 finish. Don't forget, folks, Porsche Cup racing coming up for you very shortly as well when we get to the Hungaroring, a real European flavour tonight to Thursday night motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We've got Kurt Nomans and Chris Stark and Matt Distill here alongside me. W Starkey, 9 positions gained, mate, from 27th on the grid to 18th. Well done.
I don't know what to say. These cars, like I said to you last week, they're not suited to Zolder. That chicane is too big. But when me and Heaney came out of the pit, Heaney came out just in front of me, we had an awesome battle to the end. Like, I was flashing the hell out of him with my lights, trying to distract him. That was awesome. I'm sweating again. I mean, it's like 0 degrees here and I'm sweating.
Well, that's never a good thing. I mean, A, it is winter, but B, it just goes to show you how much of a workout 40 minutes behind the cockpit or in the cockpit behind the wheel can be for you. You did well, mate. I mean, at the end of the day, the aim of the game is to go forward. There wasn't anywhere to go back. You started 27th on the grid out of 29, but obviously the misfortune of Jackson Rayhana and a couple of others worked into your favour, but then the rest of it was up to you.
I didn't even know what happened to Jax. Did he get taken out? I've been practicing Daytona for next week, so I just jumped in these last minute. My son-in-law came around and he fixed my computer. I've been getting freezes, like I said to you, Zach. My screen would freeze, so he's disabled NVIDIA Surround and just doing it through Windows, and that was crisp. That was perfect.
Very nicely done. And I was going to say the other thing as well, mate, as you say, Circuit Park Zolder not necessarily the best place for these cars, but it still threw up a good race.
Oh, for sure. I think a few people got caught out of that chicane. I finally figured it out towards the end there, Greg. We sort of bounced over it, but you know, a millimetre and you're going to slow down.
Indeed. When we look at the rest of the team here, mate, I mean, talk me through it, because locked up was 18th through your good self. I'm looking a little bit further down the order. Kurt Nomanson, the only one in the locked up team out there with you. So where's everybody else from your team on a Thursday night, please?
I know Vis had a really early start, so he's probably tired. Ryan's really busy, as you know why locked up's named. He's been really busy down in Sydney there with work. Proctor, he's been running with his son at the go-karts, and I think they're heading down to the supercars. I think they're going down to supercars this weekend. Okay. So yeah, I don't mind. These aren't everyone's favourite car. They take a little bit of getting used to. I don't mind them, so I just jump in for a run. I've got nothing else to do.
Apart from work, apart from a way to pay the bills. Hey, when we look towards next week, mate, as you say, a lot of focus on the supercars at Daytona on Monday night, but we're off to Matigi for another 40 minutes in these things next Thursday night. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, Matigi, these will be all right there at Matigi. It's a fast track. It doesn't have the big bumps like this track. It doesn't have those stupid chicanes. Uphill, downhill, a few lefts and rights. Is it the full Matigi, Zach?
I believe so.
These will go well there. The high downforce will work well there.
You'd have to ask the bloke that organised the schedule, Trucker Joe. who is yet to grace us with his presence as well. Everybody seemed relatively well behaved out there as well, Starkey. Not much in the way of argy-bargy, so that helps matters. But the biggest problem, as you say, the narrowness of this racetrack, even though those chicanes are there to potentially, produce the racing and create the overtaking opportunities, not necessarily a great degree of overtaking opportunities in these cars.
No, it's high risk for low reward. So, I mean, you can get a run down into like just before that, the last turn before, or the 2 last turns before pit entry. If you get a run, you've got to throw it down the inside, and I didn't want to do that. And you can throw it down the inside of the chicane. So there's a couple of spots, but it's very high risk for very low reward.
All right, mate, thank you for that. Appreciate it. We've got Matt Distill, Curtin Robinson and Trent Laver standing by for a chat here, so we'll let you go. All the best. Have a good weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Thanks, Zach. Have a good night.
I'll try to. That's up to the Porsches now. If they turn it on, we will have a good night. Don't worry about that. I'll get to you very shortly, Mr. Lavis, being the last one in the house. And on that note, actually, there's a birthday wish we need to send out. So we'll do that when we get to you. Matt Distill, congratulations. 2-round wins on the trot, mate. You're proving why these are your wheelhouse, but by gee, didn't Lockhart Brownlee keep you honest?
Yeah, thanks for the congratulations. But yeah, I don't think I had a single lap in that race, which I wasn't under pressure. I had Jackson at the start, and then Lockhart coming very quickly. I mean, he had the pace today. He was certainly the quickest car. I was very lucky and snagged pole with 18 seconds to spare or something in Quali. So, and as it's been said, it's very, very hard to overtake here. So.
Indeed, it's very sad to be in the position that Lockhart Brownlee was in, isn't it? I mean, it worked out beautifully for you, but it was obviously unfortunate for him to be holding onto pole by the skin of his teeth at the time, and then you snag it on the very last lap of the session, mate. You couldn't have timed your run any better, but you couldn't have left it any later either.
No, I feel sorry for him really, because I've been in that position before where you think you've got pole nailed, but my first 3 laps were all off tracks, so I really didn't do myself any justice in Quali at all. So but managed to get it done when it counted at the very last second.
Tricky circuit, difficult to master, but at the same time one that you've got to respect, mate. As Starkey has already mentioned, you've got to respect those triple strips, and I think, by the way you're talking, with your comments regarding Lockhart having the pace, that worked into your favour, that overtaking opportunities came at a real premium around here.
Yeah, 100%. Like I knew going into this round that getting pole was going to be key, because there's very little you can do, and particularly because overtaking's so hard, it's very hard to do an undercut as well, because if you pit early, you're then likely to be stuck in traffic. So Lockhart had really nothing to do. He had to pit when I pitted when the tank was empty. So yeah, again, it all came back to that lucky, or that qualifying lap, and was able to hold on from there.
Thoughts on next week, mate? Because now that you're 2 from 2 in terms of round victories, you're the man to beat, you're the man to catch. We knew that would be the case because you lobbied so hard for this series to be front and centre on a Thursday night in the entree slot. Next week, Motegi is a completely different racetrack, a little bit more open, but still a couple of tight corners to navigate as well.
Well, I'm actually going to do a bit of a Denchi here and say I don't actually own the track. So,
yes.
So I'm going to have to buy it and do some laps around it. So.
No, you'll enjoy it. It's a nice little racetrack, more probably synonymous with motorcycle racing, but no, it's a great racetrack all the same, mate. Looking forward to seeing what happens there. And obviously the other unknown here, mate, is the ins and outs of the caper, but there's a few new names on the grid tonight. Week on week, there's been a bit of turnover, some in, some out, but still, Jackson can't buy any luck. Lockhart's there. If they get everything right one night, you're really going to have to work for it by the looks of it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got Chris Noble as well. He finished P3, I think. There are some very quick guys here, and yeah, it's unfortunate for Jackson because it would have been good for him to obviously get some points on the board. You know, 2 drop rounds, obviously, but yes, it's not going to be easy. That's for sure. These guys are all incredibly quick as well.
Indeed, they are. And what else is keeping you busy over the next 7 days, mate? Before we reconvene for Twin Ring.
Mainly going to be work, and then obviously the Spa 24-hour. I'm going to attempt GT3s there with my team, and then yeah, just hang out with the wife and daughter for the next couple of days. So.
Indeed, and obviously, mate. When we look at the schedule, actually, Daniel Correa can bring this up and show everybody the schedule at home. We've got through Magello, we've got through Zolder. We can now show everybody the rest of the schedule and the breakdown of what's a sprint and what's not. Motegi next week, my apologies, I skipped over that. I said we're off to Phillip Island. That's the week after, round 4. So that'll be prime time viewing during the Olympics, ladies and gentlemen. Selfish choice between the Olympics and us, fair income. Then obviously Silverstone sprint round from Laguna Seca, 2 40-minute races from Road America and Fuji. Fuji, of course, another circuit there that will take us oriental. Into Lagos for sprint racing. That will be well worth the price of admission. I'll be here front and centre that night, don't worry. And then the Daytona road course for 40 minutes to finish us off. Any other circuits in that list that you don't yet own?
No, own all the rest of them, and I mean that schedule is loaded for these cars for the rest of the season. You know, this one was the outlier, but again, another fantastic turnout. So I don't see the numbers dropping at all for the rest of the season. Touch wood.
No, I agree with you, and I've got, for very obvious reasons, from an entertainment standpoint, the commentary standpoint, always having content to run with, I'm with you. I've got my fingers crossed that there's no drop-off in competitive turnout. Mate, well done. 2 from 2. Anyone you want to thank?
Oh, of course, I'll thank my family. I'll thank my wife Laura and daughter Annie. I'm sure that they were cheering me on, so yeah.
Excellent. Well done. Barbecue Motorsport on top on a Thursday night. Go well.
Beautiful. Thanks very much, bud. See ya.
There he is, Matt Distill, 2 from 2. So 1 race win, but the round win last week, and then pole and the round win tonight. Didn't get the fastest lap, but who needs that when you've got track position, which he had, and as he's already highlighted, may have to find an extra gear once everything falls into the lap and plays fair for Jackson Rayhana, and I guess it worked beautifully for him that Lockout Brownlee just didn't have a way through tonight, a legitimate risk-free overtaking opportunity. Kurt Normanton and Trent Lavis, good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to you. Kurt, let's start with you, and let's highlight the fact that you finished higher than you started. You were up a little bit more than this early in the piece. It says up 2 on my totem pole here on my timing screen. After starting 26, you finished 24th, but you had a far better start than what the finishing result reflects.
Yeah, I ran wide there at turn 2 and dropped back and sort of just kept falling further and further back. I wasn't trying to push and trying to just get to the end of the race at that point. I didn't want to make too many mistakes and end up in a fence and not able to finish the race. So.
Indeed, that's unfortunate too, mate. I mean, once you have one of those spins and once you plump it down the order, you're chasing your tail for the rest of the night, and that's okay, right. Yeah. Thank you, Daniel Correa. That moment, Okay, we're coming back to that in a second, but it's hard, isn't it, mate, when you have a spin and when you keep making mistakes, because all you try to do is try and undo the error, and that can sometimes trigger more errors and more frustration and more disappointment.
Yeah, so that's why I backed off. I started making mistakes and went, I need to stop pushing, overdriving, and just back off and just get to the end of the race. Not worry about where I'm finishing at that point.
What about the unfortunate nature of the fact that you were the one that was sitting there front and centre in the racetrack as poor old Jackson Rayhana come around with nowhere to go?
That corner, even I messaged Jackson just before to apologise, and he said even in practice he was spinning there, so it's so easy to do. These low-speed corners take all the aero off the car, and if it starts to slide, it's super hard to catch at that point with no aero, so nothing I could do there, and unfortunate. So I did apologise to Jackson, and hopefully next week he doesn't get taken out in the same way.
Yeah, hopefully not. Now, speaking of next week, we know that the Porsches are coming up in a few moments' time. We'll get to them shortly. But speaking of next week, what are your thoughts on Motegi? Mobility Resort Motegi now, of course, no longer Twin Ring. Mobility Resort's taken over. Silly name for a racetrack, but anyway. We're off to Motegi in Japan, which will be an open throttle sort of contest because there's a lot of drag strips around there, but there's a tricky bit in the middle that you've got to be mindful of as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'll be doing some laps, trying to do laps around Spa this weekend. I'll be more focused on that than anything around work as well. So, see how many laps I can get in. But my main focus will be Monday night for the supercars, I think.
And of course, supercars from Daytona on Monday night for those wondering as well. Even though tonight didn't go to plan, mate, are you feeling any more comfortable with this car?
Yeah, just slowly building up more confidence with the car and doing more laps and getting quicker and quicker. I think I'm only a few tenths off Eduardo, and he's pretty handy in these things, so eventually I'll start chasing down the guys in front of Eduardo again.
Yep. And I guess the other thing is Circuit Park Zolder. It's not a circuit that we frequently visit. So what were your initial thoughts on it? I mean, mistakes aside, did you feel comfortable with the circuit? Did you like the circuit?
I like the circuit as a whole, but just not with this car. I just couldn't mesh this car with this circuit at all. I was 2-3 seconds off the pace. I just couldn't get anything out of it. So that's just how it is. I couldn't put the car together, and we'll just move on to next week and try and go a bit further forward.
Excellent. Very nicely done, mate. Thank you for that. Go well. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you.
There he is, Kurt Nunson, dropping on by to have a chat with us. Now, thankfully, we had the replay file beautifully timed to showcase the defining moment of the night that involved Kurt, unfortunately, and caught Jackson Ray Hunter up as an innocent bystander. There was another rather interesting moment on the approach to pit lane that we need to address, and as we do that, we welcome Trent Lavis. That was some hell of a pit entry from you, and you were lucky to save it, really.
Oh mate, just totally misjudged it. That was 100% on me. Just not knowing where the gap was at that point in time, so I'll wear that one for absolutely ballsing it up. Here we go.
Here it is.
I was
have a look at it.
Oh, it's like a bunny hop. That's pretty cool.
It did look spectacular. We watched it on the replay file. We just weren't sure if you... I mean, it wasn't until we looked at this shot that we realised that you made some contact with the car in front. Until then, we were like, has he hit a manhole? Has he hit a divot in the road? What's he done here? And then all of a sudden, we just see you flying, mate. Lucky not to do more damage. Luckily that you were coming in for your first stop, so you had a fast repair at your disposal. And thankfully, no harm, no foul, and you brought it home in the top 5. A, nice to catch up with you, nice to have you on board, and B, initial impressions of these cars on the night that was.
There's my car, literally 10 minutes to break. Car around the track at once, I did install it and jumped in and gave it a crack. It took me a lot to get used to it, and I think I didn't start getting the hang of the car until about 10 laps from the end, which is how I managed to jump a couple of guys in the pits there. So had good pace towards the end of the race. I was quite comfortable. Funnily enough, very last lap I dropped the wheel coming onto the front straight for the very last lap to catch a checkered flag and got 17 instant points, so that put me back to 13th. So that's how my night went.
Okay, so 17 incident points, of which quite a few of them were there in that incident that we just showed everybody at home.
Got 6 for that, but I also got done a couple of times with people spinning in front of me at the hairpin, trying to avoid them. So I got clipped a couple of times there, which didn't help either. So, but that's part of it. That's the tricky car to drive.
Yeah, they are indeed. So that alters the result sheets, ladies and gentlemen. Lavis still finishes, but far further down the order than we would have otherwise expected.
Off the press too, Aiden got the same penalty, so he's in 12th.
Oh, jeez. Okay. So, two top 10 contenders plummet, ladies and gentlemen. Just have a look at that for you. And that means that and I've now, as you can see, we're switching between servers so that we can get ready to bring you some Porsche racing. It starts bang on 8:45 Eastern Standard Time, ladies and gentlemen, 8:45 for round 2 of Spreyton side of Thursday Night Motorsport, and it is sprint racing tonight as well. So we'll have the pro split, the elite split and the open split for you live from Hungary in just a few moments' time. Trent, Circuit Park Zolder, an interesting circuit, isn't it? I mean, it's not everybody's first choice when we think of Belgian racing circuits, and I think we can see why after tonight. As Chris Stark has already said, not the best track for these cars, but it's a great little racetrack in its own right.
I reckon it's an exceptional little track, to be honest. The only issue is with the overtaking problem is it takes two to tango, and in real life, I suppose, if you made a move into a chicane, usually you'd be given a fair bit of grace, but in the sim world, unfortunately, there's less repercussions, so people just tend to turn down for what. So the risk there is just simply due to the fact that people haven't got much spatial awareness in the sim world, unfortunately. So besides that, though, it would be absolutely incredible in real life, I reckon, to run around here. Be heaps of passing opportunities.
Indeed, there will be. I'm just making sure that, yes, thoughts and prayers with our good mate from Series X3 Queensland, Gordon Smith, tonight, who simply wrote on Facebook 49 minutes ago, man flu, pray for me. And you can imagine the sort of banter and comments that's attracting tonight. Speaking of Facebook, a little bit of a shout out here as well, Trent, because I got the alert this morning and I haven't had a chance to reach out and say happy birthday yet, but you've already taken the cake with the way in which you've gift wrapped a door in his general direction. We should say hello and happy birthday to our good mate Chris Whitaker tonight. God bless Facebook for giving us those alerts to remind us whose birthday is when, so that we don't have to try and remember it ourselves. But yes, our good mate is celebrating another one.
Yeah, mate, he's getting closer and closer to 50 years, so to see, hopefully he had a good day, put his feet up, the Zimmer frame away for the afternoon, and he had to sit down for a beer and dropping his ducks on the couch.
That's it. I love it. Well played. And it's very rare that Trent gets the first swing in Chris's general direction. Normally Chris is all over that like a cheap suit, but he's not here to defend himself tonight, so happy birthday to him, and hopefully the family's serving him well, and we'll hopefully catch up with him and have a chat on a broadcast in due course. It is well overdue. As I said, I get to work with him in the real world at the moment, the Queensland Production Sports Car Championship. Speaking of which, actually, did I read correctly that you've just signed on to do some more racing towards the back end of the year?
Real life racing.
Yes.
So Nick and myself had a pretty successful debut. We're working together on the second round of the QPC, third in class. It's pretty much taken a spoon to a knife fight, but we were pretty happy with. I managed to get a P2 in class on the Sunday morning, and the car's just getting better and better. So hopefully we can keep edging our way towards the front of the field.
Yeah, and I think I read right that car's on its way down to the Central Western New South Wales in November, yeah?
Certainly is, yeah. He's in for the rundown challenge for the Australian production cars, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes on a different tyre, and I'll be there to help him out, hopefully.
Excellent. Very nicely done. And as far as, I know real world stuff's keeping you busy, mate, but as far as the sim world's concerned, will we see you on a more regular basis this term or not?
Depends. I'll be dripping in and out, obviously, when I get a free night, so I've been pretty fortunate this week that Haley's been off doing and gallivanting and doing other things in the LARP world, for those that know what it is. A lot of fun.
Yep.
And so I just jumped on the sim while she's out doing that and have a bit of me time.
A bit of me time with a couple of spicy colas, no doubt, not too far away.
Most certainly, mate. Too spicy limit to get on the sim, mate. You know that? Sorry,
exactly. And by the way, I've seen the rig too, folks. It is a very impressive setup, no doubt about that. Closing stages of qualifying here for the Porsches. And another solid field in the house, 36 deep, if you don't mind, tonight. We're very excited about what might come of round 2 of the Porsche Cup for Spreyton Cider in just a few moments' time. We've got Trent Lavis and Daniel Correa here alongside me at the moment. And last one before I let you go, with those LMP2s, if time permits, is that something you'd like to... I mentioned at the top of the broadcast that it was nice to see you in the booth now that we know the circumstances why. We mentioned that you're a very versatile performer. You can often hop from car to car and be mega competitive. Would that be a car that you'd like to have a steer of on a more regular basis or not?
In real life, hell yeah. But probably in the sim world, it's probably, I'm not a huge fan of aero cars. I seem to go okay in them, but I just don't seem to enjoy them as much as the car that likes to, properly wiggle around like my lovely GT4s do. So, yeah, it's a cool car. I'd probably prefer the Indy car actually over it because it sort of wiggles around. You have to drive it properly, low traction control, all that sort of fun stuff.
Speaking of IndyCar, of course, they're on tomorrow night. You'll have Joe Baldwin with you for that one. I'll be back in the booth with him for rounds 3 and then 5 through, I think it's 10. I think I'm here for the balance, except 1, 2 and 4 being already tied up with other commitments here in Ipswich. Trent Lavis, thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Catch up when we get the next opportunity to do so, and hopefully at a real-world racetrack sometime soon as well again.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Same goes, and we'll catch up soon.
Indeed, we will. And if you haven't had the opportunity to, ladies and gentlemen, to go and have a spicy cola with the great man, well and truly worth the trip down the highway, I must say. There he is, Trent Lavis. Very nice to catch up with him. Porsche's on the circuit now. Leg 2 of our Thursday night motorsport doubleheader for you on the platforms of the GSRC across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. With thanks to Spreyton Cider, it is round 2 of the Porsche Cup, and we are zeroing in on the Hungaroring. Let's have a look at the circuit map if we can, please, Daniel, and just remind everybody of where we are and what we're doing. 10:24 in the morning, Eastern European summertime, 8 hours behind us again. So we're a little bit out of sync there, but that might actually sync up nicely once the server switches from qualifying to race trim in just a few moments' time. It is sprint racing tonight. Oh, actually, there you go, 1500. We're actually behind now. It would be, if 1500 was real-world comparison, it'd be 11 o'clock, which is exactly when the Hungarian Grand Prix starts on Sunday night, by the way, folks. So it's actually very opportunistic that and very appropriate that we're here at the Hungaroring tonight, knowing that we'll be here on Sunday night watching the latest round of the FIA Formula 1 World Championship, 3 o'clock server time, 12 kilometre an hour winds in a very much westerly direction, 26 degrees the ambient, 42 on track and partly cloudy conditions, 38% humidity or chance of rain there at this point in time, but as you can see, there's very few clouds overhead. 42 degrees on track. Wow. 4.33 kilometres this circuit. There's the grid for you. Benny Patterson and Matty Dench, the front row. Sam Muir, Jack Rogers, second. Rain Campbell, Jake Slade, the third. Drew Collins, Angus Lawford, the best of the open split cars in the fourth row, and Dane Snadden and Trent Allen in the fifth. Sixth row, Russ Green, Jake Jackson. Seventh row, Ryan Preston and Nick Wood. Eighth row, Adam Burhop, Chuk Fung Wong. Ninth row, Jonathan Hooper, Greg Brooks. 10th row, Adam Lavis and Jonathan Akers. Excuse me, the 11th row is Shannon Fever and Eduardo Zamora. 12th row, Barry Panzer, Joe Baldwin. 13th row, David Christensen and Philip Butler. 14th row, Dale Atkins and Greg Heaney. 15th row, Tim Watson and Colin Bennett. 16th row is where you'll find Paul Wilson and Tristan Koch. And that will do us, I think, from there. I don't think there's anybody else taking to the grid. Actually, no. Daniel Snedden and Brett Bradbury are on the 17th row. No Aaron Cooper, no Chris Stark. So we're ready to fire at the Hungaroring. Latest round of the championship for Spreyton Cider. The second of the sprint rounds for us. Dylan Shepherd, Jared Knight, John Merritt, all on 49 points tonight. No Merritt and no Shepherd. Jack Rogers, 45. Matty Dench, 38. Ben Woods, 37. The point standing so far as the elite split is concerned. The open split, Joe Baldwin, 53. Ryan Preston, 52. Angus Lawford, 50. Dale Atkins, 49. So too Eduardo Zamora. So it's all to play for. Round 2 of the championship from the Hungaroring. Another tight, twisty, technical circuit where overtaking will be interesting when we get to the second race a little bit later on. Those overtaking opportunities, not many around this racetrack. It's a one-line sort of goat track on the run through the second sector of the circuit, and it's tight. It tightens up between the start-finish line and that approach to turn 1, as you can see there. But thankfully, everybody safely through as race 1 or 2 gets underway. Clean start. Trent Allen there, riding with the helicopter shot up the outside. And down goes Adam Burhop. Down goes Adam Burhop. Daniel Snedden and Dale Atkins caught up as well. Adam Burhop drops down to 33rd position, 34th in fact. Wow, on the top rope already is Adam Burhop. Greg Heaney's down 5, Tim Watson's down 3. Disaster at the start for Adam Burhoff. Ben Patterson converts pole into an early lead. Matty Dench is there as well.
Oh!
And now more trouble in the chicane.
Ryan Campbell.
And this is exactly what we were talking about. I mean, as I said, overtaking opportunities, they'll be interesting to see how many there are of them. In that next race, Ryan Campbell tried to make that move down the inside and it all just went belly up. Thankfully, they got off the racetrack, so it didn't block the track and compromise the field. But that has compromised Ryan Campbell's night from the outset. Whoa, more off-track running now. That is Ryan Preston. Is that Ryan Preston having been recruited by Greg Heaney's mob? Yes, it is. Yep. Ryan Preston has been recruited midweek. Greg Heaney does not muck around, does he? Magnificent. Round they come onto the main straight, 1 minute 54, the standing lap time. So it should be an 8 or 9 lapper, this one. 9, I would imagine, for race 1. Angus Lawford, we should have that information available to us at the top of your totem pole there, folks, if Daniel Corriasar is able to flick that over for us. On the left-hand side of your screen, there we go, 2 of 9. So 9 laps for this opening race, as I suspected. And there's Angus Lawford in 8th spot right now. So, Daniel, your thoughts on the Hungaroring? As I say, I'm trying to articulate it for the audience at home. It can be a frustrating circuit because even though there are some overtaking opportunities here, there are very few, which makes tonight very challenging for these guys. They're going to have to get the elbows out, particularly in race 2, if they want to make any sort of progress, or they're going to have to rely on mistakes, and we've already seen a few of those. And if you're looking through the second sector of the racetrack, which we're in right now, forget about it. It's too tight through here, so it's a one-line goat track. It's certainly not one of my favourites, but it on its night can produce good racing.
Yeah, look, I'm actually a big fan of the Hungaroring, and I'll try and explain a little bit as to why I hold it in high regard. So if I had to describe it in a way that makes sense to novice to expert when it comes to motorsport, I'd say it's imagine a go-kart track but with big boy pants on. It really does feel like a go-kart track. So when it comes to overtaking, it's few and far between because there's so many flowing parts of the track. The thing is, why I really enjoy the Hungaroring is because it gets a bad rap, and I understand why it does, and it comes from the F1 side of things, because usually they tend to be fairly boring races. But on the flip side, we saw amazing races here. There was Alonso defending against Hamilton, which ended up giving Ocon his first and only win in F1 so far. We've seen when it's wet, it produces absolutely ridiculous opportunities. Valtteri Bottas forgot that he was in a race and not at a bowling centre, and he decided to take out half the field. And then there was Max Verstappen, who crashed on his way to the grid, mind you, and then made the Red Bull mechanics really work for their money and get that car fixed beforehand. Then, if we take into account very old races, there's a ton of examples there where this can produce really good racing. The problem is that when people start to get into, well, in the Formula One, we call it DRS train. In other motorsports, obviously, that's not a thing. But when you start to get into that, the problem is the only real spot you can attack is the main straight. And then the run down towards, I think it's turn 5, which is the up the hill to the left. And then you get that really wide... Ryan Preston's coming up to there now. Here we go. This corner right here. So fights there can really turn up because if you want to hold that outside line, you can, and you've got a lot of runoff, but you are going to get an off-track for it. And so what happens is people tend to get a little brave, and they try and go flat. And what ends up happening is either A, they pull it off and look amazing, or B, they go for a very fast adventure off the track, which unfortunately happened to Felipe Massa one time, where I believe it was, I want to say Barrichello's spring snapped off. And collected Massa in the helmet, and that is where it happened. And there is a lot of speed to be gained there, and unfortunately for him, he went first to that barrier.
So turn 1, I mean, if you really want to be opportunistic, the last corner as well. Turn 3, of course, because this right kink here counts as 2, and then down into the left-hander at 3. So they're literally the best. And I guess the bigger the car, the harder it is because the narrower the circuit. So, yeah, you can see that there's a lot of processional running happening so far. That won't be the case in race 2, folks. These guys will have the gloves off in race 2. And, of course, in race 2, strategy becomes part of it as well. You're going to have to time your pit lane run to a T. Now, Ross Green's parked up. He's out of the race. Colin Bennett remains on pit lane. Alan Burhop's got back out on the racetrack, sits 32nd at the moment. Daniel Snedden's also transited the lane. So we had 34 starters. We're down to 33. Colin Bennett could well be a retirement very shortly, but Russ Green's withdrawal from the rest of the event. We're not going to see him back on the grid a little bit later on. So Pedersen, Dench, Rogers, Muir, Slade, Snadden, Collins, Lawford, the top 8, Jackson and Fung Wong make up the top 10. Biggest mover so far, Chook, Fung Wong, up 6 spots. So too Joe Baldwin. Paul Wilson's up 12, but that's not a fair reflection of where he is in the car race because he's listed as an elite competitor and he's passed a predominantly large number of open competitors thus far. So obviously a poor qualifying there for Paul Wilson, but he's making inroads in the race. Tristan Koch up 8 spots as well, best of the open split movers. And Shakers, Brett Bradbury up 7. So 12, 8, 7 and 6 seem to be the magic numbers as far as positions gained are concerned thus far. We are 7.5 minutes in. We're at the halfway distance point next time by the line. We're on lap 5 of 9. Pedersen leads 2 seconds on Dench. Now that's interesting, and what's also interesting is headlights on as well. Headlights on here at the Hungaroring. Please don't tell me we're expecting rain again. Through we go to the left-hander. There's a 38% chance on our radar here. It's just very... Yeah, it's got dark all of a sudden to the point where the headlights have had to come on. 8:12 gone, and Pedersen's comfortable over Dench at the moment. I think Dench will just take a careful approach to tonight. He won't want to take too many risks. He'll just want to get through this one, Daniel, and then focus on the longer form races, because we know that the sprint racing doesn't always work for him. It's not always his preferred method of racing. I think we're going to find out why in race number 2. I think there will be a couple of walking wounded at the end of that one. But obviously we've got those longer form races to come, mate. 40 minutes, 60 minutes that are right up his wheelhouse.
Yeah, Des just has to try and steer clear of any others that might block him. Obviously, what was it, Road Atlanta was that first round, and of course he got tangled up with, I believe, was it Pedersen that he was tangled up with?
I think so.
Yeah, that was in the second race. Yeah. And unfortunately, they came out
last week, 50 of them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so,
thank Christ we didn't have that many tonight.
No, especially not at the Hungaroring. I don't know if this track would have done well with that. I think we would have seen a bigger crash at that chicane.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If that had been the case. But for now, Pedersen's doing a great job out in front, 2 seconds the gap. Again, not something that we usually see, but as you said, Zach, Dench is more of an enduro master than he is in the sprint round. So I'm sure with the longer sprint race coming up, and with pit strategies to come into play, I'm sure we'll probably see a little bit more performance from the Denchmark, as we like to call him here in the GSRC.
It's also very healthy for the club and for the audience at home and for us here in the commentary box. Dench hasn't got it all his own way at the moment. It's very clear that when Dylan's on deck, and we know that he's in Sydney setting up with the Sonic Boys this weekend, we wish them the best of luck. You'll be able to watch Porsche Carrera Cup action on Fox Sports this weekend. We wish those guys the best of luck. But when he's here, when Pedersen's here, and there's a couple of others that we'll throw into the mix. I mean, Ryan Campbell's another one. Those three are going to take the fight to Denchi. This could be one of the best Porsche championships we've seen in a while, and we're very excited about that.
Yeah, and Rain was really, really unlucky here in this race one. Obviously, he was the one that went in for the move deep on the inside there for the chicane, ended up just getting tapped but the car on his outside and spinning. He's managed to recover down in P14 at the moment, so 9 positions lost. I'm sure he'll have a fire in his belly come race 2. We'll see him probably move up the field. Right now, as it stands, Chuck Fung Wong will get the pole. So he is currently P10, and still no massive movement out at the front. The closest one right now is Jake Jackson chasing down, as that's Collins going into the pits. Yes, that is why. Okay, so Collins moves down all the way. Jackson moves up 1, and Snadden moves up with him. And it's these guys on screen right now, which is the closest battle thus far, as actually Campbell just made the move for P12 on Jonathan Hooper.
Log jam of traffic there, 7th back, 6th back rather. And this is Daniel Snadden. Uh-oh. Just a little bit too hot on the juice going into the left-hander, and not anywhere near enough respectful for that corner. Just goes off camber there, that left-hander, and if you miss it and you carry too much speed through, by G, it can be costly. Jake Jackson, 7th at the moment, follows Angus Lawford. He's got Dane Snadden, Chuck Fung Wong and Trent Allen for company. This is the battle 6th through 10th at the moment, so I mean, technically we're looking at the invert pole positions and top 2 rows here that are on the line and at stake. Patterson's clear. I think he can just about tick another race win in the column there. 2.4 seconds to the good. Matty Dents, Jack Rogers, Sam Muir, Jake Slade, and then this logjam. A little bit of a gap. Jackson back to Snadden. Snadden under pressure from Fung Wong. Fung Wong down the outside. Snadden defends for them. Sorry, Dane Snadden defends for the moment, I should say. We've got Snadden and Snedden tonight. It's not confusing at all, is it? As they make their way to the left-hander. But this is the problem. This is the problem for Fung Wong. He's too tight on the exit of the left-hander to set himself up for the right-hander. Oh, Snadden. Hang on. That's not in the script. Dane Snadden to pit lane. What on earth is going on there? That is not in the script. It's a sprint race, Dane. You don't normally pit in a sprint race. That's something more sinister for Dane Snadden. The Whiskey Business Racing entry is plummeting down the order.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I mean, you've only got a lap and a bit, right? Or 2 laps, I should say. I'm not sure why he would pit there, but obviously something happened where he thought he couldn't continue. Ooh, Trent Allen tries to go down the inside of Chuck Fung Wong, but Wong just managing to stay ahead, and he will hold on to P8. Also, those of you who are wondering, that is the Project AO Rexy livery, except that one is in orange, which is an interesting one. I've always ever seen it in green. That is what Project AO run it in the WEC series. But it doesn't look too bad in orange. A little bit bright, if you ask me. And it looks like Sam Muir is making a move.
Speaking of the WEC series, of course, that was on over the weekend. You talk about all the motorsport we've been trying to catch up on over the last few weeks. I still haven't caught up with IndyCar from Iowa. I'm aware of the results, obviously, but I haven't watched the damn thing. But being Lee Diffie's last calls, it's been confirmed for the IndyCar series. So Kevin Lee's probably going to pick up the baton after the Olympics take us through the final few rounds of the season. Come on, that's not good enough. It would have been nice to see Stiffy take us through to the checkered flag at Nashville, but anyway, it is what it is. He's being palmed off to NASCAR, and Rick Allen's being palmed off altogether. So being Lee Diffie's last calls of IndyCar for the foreseeable future, with the series going to Fox for the next few years, I should go back and watch them as a tip of the hat to the great man. But the WEC series was on over the weekend. This weekend, of course, World Superbike's in action. So too NASCAR again. The Brickyard 400, after a couple of years of running on the road course there, they are going to run on the oval once more synonymous, of course, more famous, of course, with some great moments in IndyCar and NASCAR history. And of course, as we watch Ben Patterson circulate the last lap here at the Hungaroring race, one of round 2 of the Spreyton side of Porsche Cup. We've got the final of Formula E from London, 2 races there, and that championship fight's been quite tight and tense throughout the course of the season. So the final races of Formula E this weekend, complementing a huge lineup of North American and international motorsport. as we watch Ben Pedersen standing on the gas, sliding through the back section of the circuit here. He's got this thing on rails. 2.65 seconds to the good. It's not often that we'll see someone trump Denchi by this sort of margin in a sprint race. But this is magnificent. It just revitalises things. We know that Denchi's out in pursuit of number 10, but there's a crop of drivers within the ranks here that within the first 3 races of this campaign so far have proven that he is going to have to work for it. It's not going to be a cruise in the park. Ben Pedersen victorious in race 1 of round 2 on a Thursday night at the Hungaroring. And comfortably. Rogers in for 3rd, Muir 4th, Slade 5th. Walford's going to hold off Jackson and Fung Wong as they come around the final corner. Then we go back to Trent Allen. Nick Wood and Ryan Campbell got back to... Oh, Ryan Campbell's got by Nick Wood! Now, did he get that on the line? Did he get that on the line or just before? And was that gamesmanship from Nick Wood? Was he sacrificing the position here for his teammate, Ryan Campbell? Have a look at this. Nick Wood pulls to the inside, Ryan Campbell up the outside. That is gamesmanship. That is gamesmanship because it's just gifted Ryan Campbell a clear racetrack for the invert for race 2. Are you kidding me?
Smart.
And what will the other teams and drivers around them have to say about that?
Oh, Ben.
More than what does race control say? Race control says it's fair game. And Benny Pedersen, wow. Benny Pedersen celebrating in a way that I don't think iRacing will be all that wrapped about. We love it. We love the gamesmanship of it, but iRacing would not normally look too fondly at that sort of caper.
This is something you can only do in sim racing, folks. That would be so many points in real life.
Oh wow, that's cheeky, very cheeky. I'm not sure we're that far enough into the season where we should be playing team orders this early. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it's very clever. It's very cheeky from Twitchy, but I don't know how I feel about it. Well, let us know what you think, ladies and gentlemen. That's Ryan Campbell securing himself 10th spot over Nick Wood, Jonathan Hooper, Greg Brooks, Shannon Fever, Dane Snadden, Joe Baldwin, Paul Wilson, Eduardo Zamora, David Christensen, and Adam Lavis. Crawford, the winner of the open split, but I reckon he'll find himself in the elite next week. Joe Baldwin and Eduardo Zamora in behind that. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What the hell? The 2-minute warm-up is underway right now, and we are waiting for the cars to join us on the grid here for the start of race 2, our 3rd race of the night. And we can't do this, of course, ladies and gentlemen, we say it each and every week. We can't do it without the support. From what Nick said, he just didn't want to be he just didn't want to be at the front. That's interesting. We couldn't do it without Spreyton Cider, Waste Options, merch.tgsrc.inc, Orbic Australia, Lobesy Racing, M-Wave Australia, or Flash Graphics. Could not do it without them. Now, that was an interesting comment from Benny there, just highlighting that apparently Nick has said he just didn't want to start on the front row. Convenient. I mean, I get it because you've got a massive red target on your back on the front row of the grid, but convenient that it's your teammate that you've been the sacrificial lamb for. Oh, wow. What about this? What about this? Can you believe that? There's the championship standings now at the end of that one as well. For the Open Cup, Angus Lawford ahead of Joe Baldwin. And here's the grid for race 2 as the I couldn't help myself on Gordon Smith's post, but tag in a friend that was going to feed him some curry for citing the use of the term man flu. And she has delivered with the GIF of the world's smallest violin. Well done, Rach. Lovely work. And we'll see you in about 5 weeks' time when you're walking down the aisle. Rain Campbell, Trent Allen, the front row here now for race number 2. Chook Fung Wong, Jake Jackson, row 2. Angus Lawford, Jake Slade, row 3. Then Sam Muir, Jack Rogers, Matthew Dench and Ben Patterson. See, these two, I'll let the rest of the grid run through there, folks, but it's Dench and Patterson that I want to watch. It all blew up in smoke for them last week. 6 o'clock in the evening, by the way, and still daylight in summer. Have a look at that. Hello, Queensland. Nice to have you on board. 2 minutes past 6 server time as we get set to fire for race 2 of round 2 of the Spreyton side of Porsche Cup. Let's go. Now, it all went belly up for Dench and Patterson early on at Road Atlanta in this race. They will need to be tactful. They'll need to think smartly about it from here, because this is no easy task. It's tricky at the Hungaroring to find clear air and to move your way forward and to do it without getting caught up in incident and to do it without damaging your race car. Patterson has started okay, but he's slotted into 9th spot, trying to get to 8th on the inside. Does so on Jack Rogers. Now, the shots have been fired because the onus will be on Dench to follow him through. Dench is trying to get up on the outside, but Rogers gets across to cover off the line. Rain Campbell's converted beautifully into pole position. 1 second clear of Chook Fung Wong. Trent Allen, Angus Lawford, Sam Muir, Jake Jackson, Jake Slade. Ben Patterson, the top 8 at the moment. Clean start. We're all off and running again at the Hungaroring. No Aaron Cooper, no Russ Green in this race. 33 starters. Joe Baldwin has had an incident early on, has dropped 17 spots. So Joe Baldwin has trouble. Joe Baldwin has a rod for his own back early. We've got cars off everywhere in the chicane. And would that trigger a safety car if they're all caught up? Let's have a look at this. If that track is blocked, that could trigger the safety car. But it looks as though actually it wasn't as bad as we first thought. They've all been able to get through okay. So no safety car, play on. That's unlucky for those that were caught up and involved. Angus Lawford, one of those. Just went too far on, straight through the kitty litter.
Oh, the big one there was, hold on. See if I can just catch that one.
Oh, what happened to Joe, more to the point?
Yeah, Brooksy, look at that. Locked up, bang, right on the side of Nick Wood. Dench, better be counting his blessings. Have a look at this.
Why lottery ticket, son? Why lottery
There's
ticket?
the yellow car of Dench. Woo.
Bang. Oh, no. Often the bloke that finds the trouble in the invert race, and he's avoided it on this occasion. 2 of 14 at the Hungaroring. Rain Campbell leads. 1 second to the good on Chook Fung Wong. Sam Muir is third. Trent Allen, Jake Jackson, Ben Patterson, Jake Slade, Jack Rogers, Matty Dench and Angus Lawford. Patterson up 4 spots already. Good luck catching Rain Campbell though, that's the problem. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I stand corrected, and I've just been reminded by the livery at play there on Benny Patterson's car, plugging the upcoming Australian PGA Championship, which will be coming up here late November, early December, either on the sunny coast or on, I think it's on the sunny coast actually, or the Gold Coast. And that reminds me that the last of the big majors on the Northern Hemisphere for 2024 underway this weekend as well. All of it coming to a head before the Olympics are done. And, or the Olympics arrive, I should say. It is the British Open that's underway tonight. So British Open, Tour de France, in the absence of cricket and tennis and football that we've been spoiled with over the last few weeks. So cycling and golf, front and centre tonight. Very excited about that. And good luck to the golfers that will represent Australia in Paris as well. Jack Rogers, 8th at the moment. Actually, I didn't even know France had golf courses, so that's a nice change of pace. Down the main straight, Patterson to the inside. 5 positions in 2.5 laps for Ben Patterson. Down the inside to turn 1, and job done on the inside of Jake Jackson. all this rubbish we've been speaking about, not being able to overtake at Hungary, and it's difficult to work your way through once you're in the pack. And Ben Pedersen is making us look silly at the moment. Up 5 spots. Sam Muir, Trent Allen, all lighting up off-track alerts, but it is just that bit of AstroTurf going through turn 4. This was Dale Atkins at turn 1.
Oh, that was almost synchronised there. That was Daniel Snedden and Atkins there. I'll see if I can keep this in the drone shot. And you can see it, so keep an eye on that. Look at them, and just out of shot there. But yeah, they both spun. Easy to do there in turn 1. God, Pedersen's on a charge. He's just eating everybody up. App livery there at the front. Reminiscent of the... I believe that's actually straight taken from the Rexy livery from Project AO, but it's very reminiscent of a Spitfire. It's... sharp teeth. And wow, he is just absolutely mincing this. I mean, we still have a pit to go, but he's already put 3 positions on Dench. And he does not show any signs of letting up. So his strategy here is fire and flames. And hope it all resolves at the end. I believe Dench is probably doing a little bit more mathematics from his side.
Main straight again. Pedersen looking to go to 4th this time on Trent Allen on the run down to turn 1. Will Allen give him racing room? Yes, he will. Pedersen dives to the inside. Hugs that ripple strip at turn 1. Pedersen hangs tough around the outside, but Allen hangs tough around the outside, but Pedersen's already covered him off. Have a look at that. No rain inside either, ladies and gentlemen. We're good to race to the end at the Hungaroring. This is awesome. Denchi's boxed in 8th. He's made his way up 2 spots. Got by Jake Slade and Angus Lawford. That's it. That is literally it so far. Could just zero stop it around here? No, surely the race is too long. Surely the save would be too much, and iRacing have craftily gone about ways in which to eliminate the ways in which you can fuel save. It's not the easy task that it used to be for someone that makes it look so easy in Matty Dench. We're right on board with him, and now you're just going to get an indication, ladies and gentlemen, as to what we were talking about this being a one-way goat track through the back half of the lap. Dench to the inside, got a good run off the right-hander, but doesn't have the car far enough up the inside to have a look at Jake Jackson. We'll follow Jackson through, round onto the main straight. Firstly, they've got to navigate the left-hander, this long sweeping left-hander, then the long sweeping right-hander. Cars peeling off into pit lane already potentially here. Yes, first to the pit stops, Jake Slade. First to the pit stops, Jake Slade. Daniel Snedden's also on pit road on the tow rope, so something's gone on there. Drew Collins has been into pit lane as well for 4.93 seconds. Jonathan Hooper's parked up out of the race. Nick Wood comes to pit lane now as well. Pit lane, a hub of activity. Benny Pedersen, fastest lap of the race. 1 minute 48.287.
So, Ryan Campbell, 3.5 seconds down the road, a truck from Wong. He is smashing it right now. You can see Sam Muir's closed up the gap. On attack range FB2. And we've got a 1 second gap to Ben Pedersen, who is also himself on a charge. 6 positions gained since the start of this race. There's actually a lot of movement out of the back. The Ackers there for 10 positions. Burholt with 16, Greg Heaney with 10, Preston with 8. There's a lot of moving happening at the moment. Lap 5 of 14. And Sam Muir looks to be trying to set up an overtake. But as you said, Zach, it does tend to be a single file goat track here in the second sector. Coming into the third. With the main straight, hopefully, if he gets a better exit coming out of that final turn. That is... Sam Muir. Oh, Chuck Wong just absolutely cooked that one there. And he's going to lose 2 for that. I would assume he'll probably go into the pit. No, he comes straight back out. So he just moves out of the way. And Ben Pedersen and Sam Muir both go through. So Sam Muir in P2, Ben Pedersen in P3, and I think Pedersen might just try and get Sam Muir for P2 at the end. Maybe a little bit too far back. And Dench has managed to get past Jake Jackson there now too. So Dench up into P6. Jackson wanted to take that back. Have a look at Lawford. Whoa. Oh, sorry. It's the wrong one there. That was Snadden, sorry. I thought it was Lawford. Yeah, it was Snadden that dove hard on the inside. Luckily, no incident. No harm, no foul, as they say.
Yeah. And Denchi up to 6th. The first time he's had any sort of clear air in this race so far. Joe Baldwin on pit road. Tristan Koch, Colin Bennett. Alan Burhopp's in and out again. He's up 6 spots on where he started after a dismal opening lap of race 1. He's been chasing his tail all night. Angus Lawford, Jake Slade have got back out on the racetrack in 21st and 22nd respectively. Down 16 on where they started. But the good news for them is everybody ahead of them in the top 20 yet to stop. Oh, geez.
That was closer than it was. The angle got me there. But luckily, that's all resolved. So, Slade trying to go through the inside. Didn't quite work. That right there, that turn, that inside turn is death. Because it's concrete, it gets really, really slippery. So if you're not careful, you put your right side tyres up on that thing and it can spin you out, especially in those downforce cars. A little bit more forgiving here in the Porsche Cup. Oh, it's Pedersen. Oh, looks to go on the inside of the final turn.
That is a great bit of driving.
And he's got it done.
You've got to sometimes reinvent the wheel and create opportunities for yourself in races like this. Sam Muir's going to get him back on the run down to turn 1, but Pedersen off the line. That's the replay. Muir left just enough racing room. Chuk Fung Wong's weighing into the mix here as well. But Pedersen and Muir still side by side. That was great driving. As I say, if you can make it pay off and you can limit the risk of it, you've got to get the elbows out here in this second race. You've got to take the odd risk. Pedersen did that, was rewarded justifiably. And we're at the half race distance mark, this time by the line.
Chuck Fung Wong!
Bang! Fung Wong's thrown it away in the wall. Will rejoin, but it's going to lose a couple of spots. Denchi comes out in 5th as a beneficiary of that. And Jonathan Hooper going round as well. Interesting that Rain Campbell's continued to open up a 3.28 second lead on Ben Pedersen, who's now clear of everybody else except Rain in 2nd. And all those guys in the top 15 down to Greg Brooks yet to stop. So it just got all of a sudden very interesting once more here.
The gaps have started to expand. You can see there only one car in the red. That's Adam Burhopp on Collins there in P22, but they're not technically racing each other. Collins yet to be graded. Let's see, indicated by that red square. His number. Again, Campbell 3 seconds down the road. The only thing is Ben Pedersen's putting the time in. His last was a 48.3. Campbell's was a 48.8 in terms of fastest laps. Campbell with a 48.5, Ben Pedersen with a 48.2. So Pedersen is taking time out of him. The question is whether or not he can take enough time out of him with half the race to go. Neither of them have pit, of course. So that will also come into question. And Sam Muir dropping back. Still floating in the 1 second mark, so that's not bad either. As it looks like Dean Snadden tries to get an overtake done on Jake Jackson. Doesn't quite get it done. He'll have to fall back in line.
So it's just settling down here, but it's getting to an interesting point because we're at that crossover marker now where we're closer to the finish of the race than we are the start. And, well, actually, that's... Oh, hang on. 8 and 14. Oh, that's right. Yeah, no. Sorry, I just caught myself out then, didn't I? Here I am thinking, hang on, why is this not slightly longer? But of course, the longer races are Monday night, 21 and 37. Of course, we're only 16 and 27 on a Thursday night. I just had one of those moments. I was like, what the hell's going on here? No, it's just me having a moment. Dane Snadden. So, yeah, again, we're closer to the end of the race than we are the start. I knew what I was trying to say. I was on the right track. I just had myself confused. And therefore, we've got a mix of guys that have already pitted up, already topped up, already on their way to the flag. They're good to run to the end. But a good half of this field is yet to stop. Paul Wilson's out of business. Trent Allen's out of business. Didn't see what happened to those two guys, but they're out. Daniel Snedden is out of business by virtue of the fact as Dane Snadden fires it down the inside of Jake Jackson at turn one. Squeeze job from Jackson. Have a look at them. Nothing in that. Jackson hangs tough around the outside to put himself on the inside to the left-hander at 3 and does so. Snadden will look to do the same, or will he do the up and under? Have a look at this. The up and under out of 3. Snadden on the outside. Jackson still on the inside and holding on for now. Some of the best side-by-side running we've seen all night here. Not just at the Hungaroring, but also at Circuit Park Zolder as well. Wow. What about that from Dane Snadden?
That's how you do it. That's how you do it. That was a really good move going into that first turn, but then Jackson knew exactly where to put his car in the setup onto that next complex of corners. And although, credit to Dane Snadden, he really did try to push it around the outside going towards the top of that hill. It didn't work out, so Jackson will stay in P6. But that is the racing we come to see.
At long last, we're getting the racing we came to see. And I mean, yep, sure, Jackson won the war, but Snadden made it happen. He pulled the trigger and engaged in battle. And it was a good scrap, a good, hard, clean fight, and that's what you want. Am I expecting to have another crack this time by unless they come to pit lane? Snadden tucks in behind, coming round onto the main straight. He goes wide to try and give himself the run off the right-hander down the main straight. He's in the slipstream. He's in the draft. Is he too far back? I don't think so. Will he get enough of a run to lunge it down the inside to turn one? Jackson's not in a position to squeeze him the way he did last time round, but Snadden wasn't close enough to make the move either. And there is Barry Punter going into pit lane now as well. So those pit stops now starting to happen. Up until that point, top 12 are yet to stop, plus Brett Bradbury, plus Tim Watson. So it looks like now we're very much in a situation where more of the field has stopped than hasn't. And Ben Patterson's just punched out the fastest up the race, 1:48.166. Ryan Campbell, his lead has been slashed to 1.4 seconds. Snadden right there still on Jackson. Finally, something to talk about on the racetrack. It's good. Beaver is all over the back of Akers. Brooks all over the back of Preston. Glade all over the back of Lawford. They're the first of those that have stopped that are fighting for track position here. Some good scraps unfolding. Lap 10 of 14. 5 to go. Snadden, you're not going to get by there, son. And I get the name is Whiskey Business, but you don't want to be too whiskey through the back section of the circuit, if you'll pardon the expression. What they did in the first half of the lap was risky enough, quite frankly. Snadden having a look, can't get it done. But he's just letting Jackson know that he's there. One little slip up from you, young Jake, and I'm going to pounce.
Oh, and it's a very, it's a tried and true method of attack. Basically, you want to try and make yourself as big as possible. Oh, and Snadden pulls the trigger there, so he's going to come into the pit lane now, lap 11 of 14.
Try and get the undercut.
And see if the undercut will work for him. But yeah, that works. It's one of the methods, one of the techniques that drivers use. They try to force you to drive in your mirrors rather than looking out the front window. And all they need is a slight focus loss. You miss your brake marker, you're a little bit too wide on entry, you're a little bit too wide on exit, and bang, they can take advantage of that. And that's why...
Jonathan Akers and Ryan Preston also stepped in that time by, sorry, Deb.
No, you're right.
Just wanted to cover that off before they got out onto the racetrack again. Brett Bradbury, the last of those on track yet to stop. I do believe. Yep. He's running down in position number 13 at the moment. Pedersen's within striking distance of Campbell. And this is all going to hinge on the pit stops.
Now, how did he do
Pedersen's
that?
all over Campbell like a cheap suit. Pedersen has just punched out lap after lap. He was 0.7 of a second faster than
Insane.
Campbell the last time around.
Insane. He had a
It's
3.5 second
ridiculous.
advantage. He had a 3.5 second advantage. Look at that. Now he's down to 0.5.
This could be the ultimate double for Benny. And, I mean, Rain had pole position at the start of the night, but Pedersen has been faultless and flawless. It has been brilliant to watch. It's all going to hinge on pit lane right here and now. They're
they both
both
come
in. They're both in. This is where the race is won and lost as far as I'm concerned. Sam Muir's in as well. This will be the critical lap for everybody. Jack Rogers, Matty Yench, Jake Jackson, Shannon Fever, Greg Brooks, Dane Snat, Negus Lawford. All the way down to Greg Brooks. Top 8 will probably come in this time by. Denchi of course, Denchi decides to go one lap further than everybody else. Denchi's going on with it. Nobody else. Don't tell me Denchi's up to his usual tricks of trying to get through without a stop.
Would you be surprised?
I wouldn't be surprised,
No.
but don't tell me you can actually do it around here. Off the pit lane goes Campbell. Campbell with under 4.98 and Pedersen with 7.4. Campbell
huge.
gets the jump. And Sam Newart's leapfrog Pedersen as well. That is enormous in the context of the race. Denchi last time around 148.5. So he's only 0.4 of a second off the others. Surely he's got to come in. I mean, if it was a second, if it was 9, 10, 10, 8, 9, 10 tenths of a second, surely I'd buy it. But he's within 0.4.
So
I just don't see how he could do it.
Yeah, he's got 9 seconds the gap now, or almost 10 to Rain Campbell there. Again, so 4.98 in the box for Campbell. Pedersen 7.4. That's so significant. Even Sam Muir was 5. So Pedersen must have. Well, we did see him absolutely cast through the field. So obviously that's not great in the old fuel tank.
Not at all.
But yeah, I didn't think it'd be that much of a difference. So Pedersen has a lot of work to do if he wants to try and get Muir and Campbell by the end of this race. Dench is doing a good job here. The gap is increasing. It's now 10.2. So it would lead me to believe that he has to come in, but the full pit lane transit time is 35 seconds. So this is... and he has to come in. There we go. There's Dench into the pit lane. So where does he exit out?
That essentially sorts everything out. That answers all the questions. That cleanses the field right now.
It'll be the quickest of pit stops, surely. It'll be like a bang bang.
It'll be quicker than 7.4, I reckon. He might gain on Benny Pedersen.
There he goes.
Out 3.65. Quickest pit stop of the lot.
But
It's
Pedersen's
not
got
going to
it.
do him any favours. Here comes Jack Rogers down the outside. Dench goes to 4th.
It's good
And
distance,
that's
though.
it. That's not bad. So in all of that, I guess he gains 1 spot. Into 4th place. Up 5 on where he started. It's been a very tricky road back for him in this race so far. We knew it would be. But Pedersen's made it look remarkably easy. Campbell, Muir, Pedersen, Dench and Rogers, the top 5. And we've got this and 1 more lap to go. Oh, actually, well, to be fair, we've been stitched up here anyway. We're going to get back to the line well inside that 27-minute marker at the end of lap 14. And I thought that was a little bit strange. So I reckon we could have gone 15 laps, but that's all right. We won't complain.
This is all working for Rain as well. The more that
Absolutely.
Ben and Sam push each other, the bigger the gap Rain can make at the front.
Yep. And all of a sudden, Benny's charge hinders on this, how quickly he can get by Muir. And I don't think, by this point, he's run out of time. He won't have enough time to rein in Rain, if you'll pardon the pun. He won't have enough time to rein him in, to reel him in. So Sam Muir has actually done Rain Campbell an incredible bit of service here by leapfrogging Ben Pedersen in the pit stops. White flag in the air one more time around. Let's do it. We're going to finish on inside that 27-minute marker. at the Hungaroring, which is good because I hate time certain races. Let's go. Down to turn 1. Campbell, Muir, Pedersen, Dench, Rogers, Jackson, Snadden, Lawford, Fung Wong, and Slade the top 10. And all of a sudden, Ryan Campbell owes Nick Wood a slab of whatever Nick Wood drinks. And if I was Nick Wood, I'd be nominating top of the range, top shelf sort of stuff. And because Ryan Campbell is in this position now because of the selflessness of Nick Wood. And Pedersen's charge hamstrung by the fact that he was a little bit slow off pit lane. Not sure what that came down to, what that was caused by, but it's compromised the run because he was right there. It was first v second. It was Campbell versus Pedersen. It all hinged on pit road. Campbell won the race off pit road. Pedersen still gets 2 podium finishes for the night, so round honours are looking good for him. And he'll want to find a way by Muir in the final few corners. He hasn't found a way through yet. Down they go to the right-hander. Muir's defence work here has been immense to keep Pedersen at bay. Last corner coming up. Ryan Campbell, it didn't start well for him, but by G, it finished beautifully. 10th in race 1 and the win in race 2. Victory is his at the Hungaroring, but will it be a photo for second? No. Muir's going to do enough to cover Pedersen off. So 2 different winners on the night at the Hungaroring. Dench will come through for 4th. Jack Rogers, Snadden pips Jake Jackson. Snadden got Jackson on the final corner. Snadden got Jackson on the final corner. Dang, Snadden's going to get 6. Jake Jackson's hung out to dry. Oh, can you believe that? Jackson comes over the finish line in 9th. Now, what on earth has happened there, and has Jackson fallen foul of a slowdown? We need to go back and have another look at that. This was Snadden on Jackson on the run up to the final corner. Oh, he went around the outside. He went around the outside. Did Jackson cough and splutter?
Yes,
wow.
It does look like it. Wow.
Jackson dropped to 9th right with the finish line in view. Are you kidding me? Jake Slade in for 10th, Nick Wood was 11th, Jonathan Akers, Drew Collins, Shannon Fever and David Christensen in the top 15. Eduardo Zamora will be the best of the open split in 15th because in 16th rather, because Angus Lawford's not staying in the open split for too much longer with that sort of pace. He'll be elevated, pole vaulted up into pro very quickly, I would imagine. And then Drew Collins, it'll be interesting to see where he ends up, whether he's in open or elite, because he was classified as to be confirmed coming into tonight in the red box with the white numbers. Greg Brooks got back to 17th, Adam Burhop up 13 spots to 18th, Adam Lavis to 19th, and Joe Baldwin back to 20th. And that was a fight back after costing himself on the opening lap of that race and plummeting right down to the back of the order. Winners and losers, +9 for Snadden, +9 for Akers, +11 for Collins, and 13 for Burhop, the biggest movers of the night. The biggest losers of the night, well, Brian Preston was a retirement, 3 laps down. Actually, did Ryan get to the finish or was... I'm not sure. We need to follow up on that, because if Ryan got to the finish at 11 laps and 3 laps down, then he'll be classified. And if that's the case, it's only Colin Bennett, Paul Wilson, Trent Allen, Daniel Snedden and Jonathan Hoover that have retired from that race. Tristan Koch will be the last of the finishers on the lead lap. 27 cars on the lead lap in the end. That in itself is an achievement around here. Ben Pedersen, fastest lap of the race, 1:48.166. Oh boy, we've got Jack Rogers standing by. We've got Ryan Campbell as well. There are the results for you, ladies and gentlemen, and there are the championship standings. That's what it means after tonight. And by gee, it's an interesting race at the moment. This championship well and truly alive after the opening couple of rounds.
Ryan
and
Campbell's
Jack
up
Rogers
21.
But Yeah, and rightly so, because he had a shocker last week.
Yeah, that's true.
But, what a way to respond tonight, and again, owes Nick Wood a carton. So, there you have it. Well done to Angus from Project 36. Good showing for us here. Thanks for the sponsors who back us as well. Yep, always happy for you guys to plug the sponsors whenever you feel like it, whenever you need to. We've got Adam Burhop, Greg Brooks standing by, and Angus Lawford as well. I was going to start with Ryan Campbell, but I need to start with Angus Lawford. Surely you can't be classified as elite for too much longer with 2 top 10 finishes in a field of that calibre.
Yeah, no, I had a really good run, qualified well, and managed to keep it up there with the big boys.
Indeed, and it was a really good performance, mate. A really solid run in both races. I mean, in that second race alone, -2, but you started 5th, which means you finished 6th in race 1. So at least, if nothing else, consistent throughout the course of the night. A really solid run. And what do you make of the Hungaroring and the challenges that await us on this racetrack?
It was really good. I enjoyed it. There was some really good battling up the front. It was tough to defend the last lap on the first race. That was some good battling. I enjoyed that. And yeah, first race I locked up a tyre behind Trent Allen, almost rear-ended him. So that's why I dropped back to 10th and had to fight my way back through. But that was good fun.
Indeed it was. What do you make of the... what do you make of the circuit? Because it's not everybody's cup of tea. It probably... isn't the best in terms of trying to work your way through with overtaking opportunities, but it rewards patience, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And it was really good to see all the different lines that everyone was running, because it's very much a 2-line track. You can run it multiple ways and still be around the same pace. So you had to really pick your poison. So a lot of strategy was in it, and it was good.
Indeed. And now that we're back in these cars on a regular basis, how are you finding them?
To be honest, this is the first time doing any league races in the Carrera Cup, so I've struggled to get used to them, but after a few laps, I've really enjoyed them. They're fun cars.
Indeed. When you look at your results compared to the rest of the open split, mate, I dare say you'll get the tap on the shoulder, the knock at the door. Do you take confidence out of that you've got the pace to run with the guys in the elite split if you do get elevated next week?
If I do, I'm happy to take on the challenge. I've always enjoyed running with the fast guys, and everything that's a bit challenging is always exciting for me, so I'll be happy to move up and try and take it to the big guys.
All right, mate, let's just quickly remind everybody at home, if we can, please, Daniel, of where we're going and what we're doing as far as the Porsches are concerned. We do away with sprint races for the next couple of weeks at least, because we've got a 40-minute sprints around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit next week and 60 minutes around the mountain the week after that. It's not until week 5 that we deal with sprint racing once more. Hockenheim, Zandvoort, another goat track, and the Red Bull Ring for sprint racing to see us through to the checkered flag, and of course those single races from Mugello, Monza and Portimao as well. So we've got some really good single hit-out circuits on the calendar this season, and we do get an opportunity to familiarise ourselves with Spa over the course of the next 7 days as well, mate. The 24 in the sim world, plus the GT3s there for 90 minutes on Monday night. So I think we'll be sick of Spa by this time next week. Your thoughts on Spa, Angus? You there?
Yeah, Spa, it'll be a really good challenge. I've watched a lot of YouTube of actual racing on boards around there, and it looks really fun, so I'm keen to smash around it.
Indeed. What else is on the agenda for the next 7 days, mate? Where are we going to see you popping up between now and the next Porsche hit out?
So tomorrow I've got a NASCAR truck race in another series, and then Monday for the V8 supercars, so that should be good.
All right, and we're looking forward to Daytona as well. That will be a hell of a lot of fun. Just quickly, with regards to strategy tonight, you were a little bit rewarded in that regard. As you say, pick your poison. You opted to pit early, whereas everyone else around you that finished around you pitted much later in the race.
Yeah, I felt like I was getting a little bit held up with the pack racing in around 4th lap, and I seen Slade dive into the pits the lap before me, and I thought, well, might as well take a chance and see if we get some clean air and try and jump a few in the pits, and seemed to work out all right. I managed to get 1 or 2 spots, and it was good fun.
Oh, mate. Very nicely done. Well done on the results tonight. Looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table when we get to Spa. And, of course, as you say, the Supercars on Monday night as well. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, mate. Thanks to Project 36 and all the sponsors. And thanks to the broadcaster. It was good.
I hope so. It felt okay. Let's get the race winner in here as well, ladies and gentlemen, for race 1 and the race winner for race 2. I'll start with the race winner for race 1 because he's got 2 podium finishes to his name this week. Benny Patterson, that's far better than Rod Atlanta's second race for you. A good charge back through the field to 3rd. Get to race 2 in a moment. The fact that you won race 1 and were able to put nearly 3 seconds on Denchi, that must sit well with you.
Yeah, it's unusual to have him in the rearview mirror, to be honest, but I've taken my stuff to work with this new update Porsche, so it's been pretty good. Been working with with Patrick from the Apex Racing team as well. He's been giving me some lessons. I'm just trying to reduce mistakes and obviously work on speed, but I still made 2 big mistakes. I don't know if you noticed, I stalled it coming out of the pits.
Righto. Yeah, that answers one question we had for you. And just quickly, I'm not sure if there's something you can do at your end, mate, but you're incredibly faint.
New mic. I didn't even test it, mate. Give me a second.
Righto, copy that. It was sounding better already, just as you said, give me a second. We'll see how we go. Oh, you got to love live broadcasting on the fly, don't you? See your pet stuff. Sorry, mate.
I said I work fast now. It's good.
That's it, and that sounds better too. Hey, quickly, because we didn't get a chance to talk to you last week. Obviously, Rod Atlanta went all right race 1, race 2 not so much. It's important to limit the damage done in these sprint rounds as best as possible. You can't ask for much more than that. The only thing is, as you say, a little hiccup in pit lane, but at least it wasn't detrimental. You were able to get back out there. Sure, you weren't able to chase down rain, and Sam Newell put up a pretty good defensive effort in the closing laps as well.
Yeah, he did. No, it's very hard to overtake at this track too. So, guys that know how to defend, they're going to do a really good job at it. It's just, it's totally a nasty track. But I like it.
Now, as far as the Hungaroring is concerned, where does it sit in your in your list of preferred racetracks, mate? Because I mean, it looks as though you took to it pretty well tonight, but I know that it's not everybody's cup of tea.
To be honest, I sort of really just started practicing it 4 or 5 days ago, but I spent a lot of time at it, so just to get going, because there's a few intricacies with some of the corners. But I don't mind it. I mean, I don't mind any course to win at, I suppose. It's hard to not like it when you win.
Well, that's very true as well. Quick comment from you. I was talking about, I mentioned in the call that Denchi's got his work cut out for him this term. You've come on leaps and bounds. Ryan Campbell's a new name in the server, and there's a couple of other guys there that are going to be really threatening on their day. It's as though Porsche racing is very much alive and well, even though it's had a season off here on the GSRC platforms.
Yeah, it's good to see it back. It's obviously my cup of tea. I primarily race in this car with Quali, which I'm surprised to not see them tonight. I was a bit disappointed. So, yeah, look, it's a good fun car. It rewards good driving and it punishes mistakes. So that's why I enjoy it.
Indeed, it does punish mistakes. Indeed, it certainly did that tonight. I mean, when we look at the calendar and the schedule ahead, mate, we just saw it on the screen there. What are your thoughts when we get to Spa next week?
Not one of my strongest. I'll have to do a bit of work to put the pointy in, but I like it. But so does everyone. It always gets a lot of people driving whenever it's in the schedule.
Let me ask you this as well, because obviously first across the post in race 1 means 10th on the grid for race 2. We know that this one's a narrow, difficult circuit when it comes to the number of overtaking opportunities available to you. How much risk was there in the approach you took to race 2 compared to race 1?
A lot more risk. A lot. Yeah, yeah, I was trying to send it everywhere. Yeah, no, it's as I said, it's a very difficult track to overtake on, so you've got to take your moments if you see the door, but the door's never open very wide here, so
No.
sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't. I'm just happy I didn't murder anyone, because that was that was pretty habitual in days gone by.
I'm loving the brutal honesty from you, mate, to be honest. And it's so true. I mean, in the greater scheme of things, as we've just had El Presidente actually slip on into the booth for a chat, and we'll get to him in just a few moments as well. The interesting thing, excuse me, about all of this is when you talk about the amount of risks you had to take, you're fully aware of the risk versus reward around here. You're just lucky that you hit all your markers tonight. All those risks seem to pay off, mates. And I guess that comes down to two things. One, the sometimes luck's just got to be on your side, but B, some respectful race room given by those around you, even in instances where they weren't giving much.
Mate, there's a great saying my father told me when I was, working on my golf, and it applies to this too. The harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yes, exactly right. And you worked hard on it tonight, mate. Just how much time have you put into the Porsche? I mean, we'll get to the golf in just a moment because I want to ask you about that. But how much time have you put into the Porsche in recent weeks? Because as I say, with these guys not being on, or this class rather, not being on the server last term, it's been a while between drinks and chats.
A couple hours a day, and on the weekends more.
Yep.
A fair bit. I've got a very understanding wife and 3 young children who aren't old enough to know what's going on yet, so I don't know how long I can do this for, but I'm kind of hoping my little boy gets into it, because I've got a sim here next to this one waiting for him. So there we go.
Excellent. Start them young, mate. That's the way. And it was only... I don't know why I was so blasé to it. I was saying to everybody at home tonight, very little in the way of sport to keep our eyes on tonight, because the tennis is finished, the footy's not on tonight because we had it on last night. The Olympics are still a week away. But for someone like you, no doubt one eye left of screen to see how everything's going with the British Open golf. How's your golf game going, and who have you got your eye on, not just with the British Open this weekend, but who should we watch come the Olympics?
This is going to put a bit of deflating down. I really don't follow that much golf. Like, I will, flick over the majors, but
yep.
Look, the reason being is, mate, I've got psoriasis, which is giving me arthritis in a few joints. So that's what ruined my golf career. So I don't play. Like, I miss it, but I can't play without pain. So I'm now simulating. So that's how I'm venting.
Well, that's the coping mechanism, as they say. So even though the livery's there's not as much interest as the livery would suggest. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, no, look, I still pay my membership fees with the PGA. Like, I play a little bit of pro golf, and I got permission for them to use it, so I'm sure they're happy to, have a bit of brand awareness out in the racing game as well.
That's it.
I think with Cushnet title, PGA.
Cross promotion's never been a bad thing. Just ask the Seven Network.
Maybe they'll reduce my fees this year. I don't know.
I love it. Hey, thanks for being a good sport, mate. We do appreciate that. And well done on the results so far this season. Long may that continue, because this title fight's well and truly alive. Good luck for the weekend, and obviously we'll catch up with you this time next week.
Yeah, shots fired. He's going to still be tough to beat, though. He might come good late in the year, but he's going to be a tough one to beat. He knows how to win.
Exactly. Indeed he does. He's not in the booth to have a chat to us tonight, but we look forward to hearing from him on Monday night. No doubt. Benny, appreciate it, mate. Go well.
All good, guys. See you next week.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. I mean, Benny's lucky in the sense that, obviously medical has ruined one sporting career, but he's making a name for himself in a new venture here in sim racing circles, and it's been really good to watch the last 2 weeks especially. I mean, by his own admission, mixed fortunes in previous championship campaigns, but so far. He's made both posts winners in the opening 2 rounds of the Spreyton side of Porsche Cup in Term 3 of 2024. This is night 4 of week 2 of Term 3 for you on the platform for Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Joe Baldwin will be here tomorrow night for you with IndyCar. I'll be jumping in the booth with him next week and very much looking forward to doing so after attending to some local sport commitments out here in Ipswich tomorrow night. Let's get to El Presidente a little bit later on. Before that, the bloke below him in our Discord server feed here, Rain Campbell. I hope you know what Nick Wood drinks, mate, because I feel like you owe him a slug.
Yeah, you're not wrong, mate. I said to him, I don't know why he did that, mate, but I didn't ask for that, but I can only thank him because I don't win it without him. So unfortunately tonight I just didn't have the pace with sort of the top 4 in front of me, and then made a mistake trying to recover off not a terrible start, not as bad as last week, but yeah, it is what it is. But try to keep a level head and try to get back as far as we could and sort of set it up from there. But apologies to Jake for the contact on lap 1 in race 1. It was a silly error.
Indeed. And with regards to race 1, just talk us through that, because again, you had the pace in qualifying and then all of a sudden race 1 it goes belly up and you really had to chase your tail. So just talk us through the mistake and the incident, and then obviously going about taking the risks required to get yourself back to 11th, and then obviously we know what happened from there with the generosity of Nick Wood.
Yeah, look, I knew that I sort of, if I stayed with them, I could probably follow them and sort of stay with them relatively. But if I knew if I dropped back too far, I probably wouldn't get back to them. They sort of just had that 2-3 tenths like they had in qualifying on me, that I couldn't really get back, and that sort of showed in the race too, how they sort of run me down. But yeah, I unfortunately tried to block the car on the outside, and then Jake got up the inside, and then I didn't want to get too far back, and then yeah, I was thinking in the back of my head the whole time going up to the corner that I shouldn't try and overtake in that corner, but I was a bit desperate, and yeah, I made a mistake, so it happens, but we'll learn from it. It's a long championship, so we just need to try and be consistent. I don't think I'll be anywhere towards the end, but we'll see how we go.
But it just goes to highlight, even as you say, with a good qualifying result, everyone understands the intensity and the pressure that comes with these races, mate. And that wasn't lost on you, as you say. You highlighted pressure getting the better of you there. It's important, though, to make every post a winner, and at least you were able to turn it around and salvage it in some way, shape or form. Talk to me about race 2 and having that clear air and just how much that worked into your favour despite some serious pressure towards the pit stop from Benny, and no doubt you're probably thankful that he stalled it in the pit lane.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, I completely forgot to mention that. Yeah, I don't win that race without either Nick's help or without Ben making that error in the pits. Yeah, I didn't have the pace to fend him off. I don't know if I burnt the tyres up too quickly at the start, trying to push really hard just to make the gap, but I'm not too familiar with the Porsches in general. I'm trying to do laps to sort of get familiar with it, and I haven't done the Hungaroring in probably 3 years, so I've done a lot of laps trying to get a grip with it, and I just could never find that little extra bit, so a little bit disappointing, but some things you got to be lucky to sort of have it go your way, I guess. So
Indeed. Actually, Benny's still with us here as well, and we, because we were focusing on the timesheets, we actually had the camera on you in the pit stop there, Rain. We had no idea about the stall. We just the most immediate thought that came to mind for us was that he took on just a little smidgen too much fuel, and that was the difference. But no, it was a complete and utter hiccup on his part, and that's what proved to be the difference there in the end. And of course, you had enough of a buffer on Sam Muir towards the back end of proceedings as well. So I mean, a case of what might have been, mate, because if you had the pace in race one to go and race toe-to-toe with someone like Denchi, as you say, you didn't have the pace to stop Benny in race one, but you would have been able to go toe-to-toe with Denchi. That whets the appetite for what might happen when we get to Spa next week, because with you three there, doing what you're doing, genuine championship threats. Every championship round is going to be so much more important the further we get into the season, and it's going to be critical with these remaining 3 sprint rounds that we've got to limit the damage as much as possible.
Yeah, it's not easy. Like compared to even the GT3 cars, like that's obviously a massively popular championship. This car is so hard to drive. It's so on the edge, and you've got to drive in such a specific way that I'm finding to get speed out of it. And it's so weird for me to be able to try and do it that way. But every sort of round is going to count towards the end. Obviously, round 1 I've already burnt 1 drop down already, so I'm just trying to make everything count pretty much.
All right, mate, and obviously your immediate thoughts on the fact that we go to those longer races next, Spa 40 minutes, Mount Panorama 60. I mean, they're both iconic circuits. They both produce good racing. Is there one that you're looking forward to more than the other?
Look, as I said the last couple of weeks, I'm not a massive fan of Spa. It's a good track for racing, but it's not really one that I'm a massively fan of. Normally the speed's okay, it's just the enjoyable side of it. I'd probably say Bathurst more than Spa. So, but yeah, the longer races, definitely the attrition side of things is harder than most things, but it should make for some good racing. So we'll see how we go.
Indeed. All right, mate. Hey, well done tonight. As I said, find out what Nick Wood drinks and just supply it to him in bulk for the balance of the season. We got the word through from race control that it was purely selfless on his part, but he just didn't want to start at the front and have the big target on his back. And given that you two are teammates, we weren't believing that at the outset, but given what you've said, since arriving in the booth here, there might actually be a little bit more merit to it than what we gave him credit for. Hey, well done. Looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table. Firstly, Monday night, and then we'll be sick of Spa by this time next week. We've got 2 doses of it in week 3.
Yeah, no, thanks guys. Thanks to Twitchy Foot Racing, Nick in particular, Digital Race Engineer and P1 Sim Gear for all your support. Yeah, I don't get here without any of those guys, and yeah, go well. Thanks for the racing tonight, guys, and thanks for the stream.
Anytime. And just quickly, by the by, folks, there was some big news in the world of motorsport before we got on air tonight. And of course, all the eyes and focus of the world is zeroing in on France at the moment for all the right reasons, with the Paris Olympics only a few days away, but cannot ignore the fact that there's so much other sport going on at the moment. And in Formula One circles, it's been confirmed that Kevin Magnussen and his team will part company at the end of this season, and that's on the eve of the Hungarian Grand Prix. So, I mean, it's appropriate. It's real world relative that we're here tonight, but sad that we're starting the Hungarian Grand Prix weekend on the note that Kevin Magnussen is being shown the door. Of course, head to the Formula One socials for more information regarding all of that. We've heard from Ben Patterson. We've heard from Ryan Campbell. We've got Jake Slade, Jack Rogers here. I might go to Jack, actually, and then we'll work our way around from there. Jack, good evening to you. Up 3 spots in that second race to finish 5th, having started 8th, which was 3rd in race 1, if I'm doing all my numbers right here. So again, 2 top 5 finishes, consistency the key. You're right there with the championship contenders, mate. And as we know, consistency can be rewarded in championships as well. So talk us through your night and if you're happy with that result or not.
Yeah, good day, boys. Yeah, I'm happy, I guess. I didn't expect to be fighting up the front with the likes of Denchi and all that, so to be up there in the championship and consistent 2 races in a row up the front, can't complain.
Not at all. And the problem with complaining is no one tends to listen to it either. We know that.
Yep.
But anyway, the Hungaroring, as a racetrack, is it one that you like, or is it one that you're happy to see the back of?
Love it. Real driver's track. Really technical to extract the speed, and Porsche's sort of brought that out, I think, seeing as the field spread was a lot bigger than what it was last week. So yeah, loved it.
Indeed, and it's interesting you say that, because the other observation week on week, not only was the field spread larger, but the field size was smaller two distinct differences week on week. You say it's a real driver's circuit, but by G, you've got to work hard for track position.
You do, yes. It's very hard to pass, and I think I was stuck behind someone for a bit there at the start of the second race. I can't remember who, but once I got past him, just sort of put my foot down and yeah, pressed on.
Indeed. Hey, talk to me about the fact that you were third to Pedersen and Dench in race one. Pedersen, the guy that's won the round tonight, won the round last week. Oh, actually, didn't win the round last week, but was a race winner last week. We had a three-way tie for round winners honours last week, two of them not on the grid tonight. So there's those factors to consider as well. Actually, let's be perfectly honest, there are 5 or 6 genuine threats for race wins out here on their night should they show up, of course. But to be only third to one of the benchmarks of the club in its entire history, and a guy that's proving himself in the Porsche this season, how does that sit with you?
I'm more than happy, to be honest. Didn't really do much practice coming into Road Atlanta, and sort of did all right and thought, I could be on here, and then did a whole lot more practice this week and happy with my pace and progress. So I'm looking upwards. Spa's sort of a Achilles heel track for me. I've never gone well there, so we're putting in some laps over the week and see where we end up next week.
All right, very nicely done. And I guess when we look at Spa, we get a hit out there for our GT3 guys on Monday night. But for you, the Porsche around there for it'll be somewhere in the vicinity of 18 laps next week. What are your thoughts initially on 40 minutes around there?
Oh, it's not going to be fun. I've never done well there, so it'll be bit of a long slog. But yeah, we'll just have a crack, I guess, see what happens.
Indeed. How important is it for you to do well in this championship? And I mean, not just for yourself, but for the team as well. How important is it to put a good showing here, given the calibre of the drivers you're up against?
For me, it's just about proving myself against some fast guys. I've always sort of been there or thereabouts in the official sessions and stuff like that, but never done anything serious like this. So to prove myself against some of the fast guys in the club and sort of in the scene is enough for me.
All right, very nicely done. And the other thing I was going to ask you too, I mean, were you a case of, in that second race there, mate, follow the leader? Because, I mean, I look at the pit stop numbers here for everyone except Matty Dench. He goes to 12. A good chunk of you go to 11, with the odd exception of drivers that went 10 laps. Was it a case of monkey see, monkey do, or were you running to your own numbers?
Just sort of following the blokes in front of me. I pitted way too early last week, so I thought this week I'd sort of follow the crowd and see what they do, and sort of worked for me better than last week, I guess. But Denchi was obviously saving fuel, so I sort of knew that he was going to be there or thereabouts come into the stops. So yeah.
So he was able to get the better of you, but you were still able to hold off by a long margin everybody else behind you there, and 7.81 seconds covered the top 5 tonight, folks. So it goes to show you that it was fairly competitive at the top end of town. Speaking of officials, speaking of Porsches, what's your racing schedule look like before we see you on the grid here next week, mate?
Probably just the Porsches, to be honest. Might jump in the V8s on Monday night, depending on where it is. But Porsches
Road. Daytona Road. Sorry, Daytona Road.
Yep. I might give it a crack then, but Porsches are sort of my main focus for the moment. Yeah, don't really feel for the GT3s and just sort of focus on the Porsches and hopefully have a crack and be there in the end.
Porsches beyond the club, like, are we still running officials and other leagues beyond the club in the Porsche, or is it just here?
Just here. I'll run officials whenever I have time, but just focusing on this really.
I like it. And hopefully the dedication to one championship, one focus is rewarded at the end of the season, mate. Thanks for stopping on by to have a chat with us. Go well for the rest of the week.
Thank you. Have a good night, boys.
Jack Rogers. Jake Slade, talk to me. -4 in that second race. So where'd we start? 6th, which means 5th past the post in race 1. Caught up in an early incident, but recovered well.
Yeah, I actually started off quite bad. I locked up in that first race. I had a brief lock up into the first corner and managed to modulate the brake enough to make it work, and it worked out. I actually got past Rain as he was on the outside a little bit defending that car. But then, yeah, coming into the chicane, I could see him sort of telepathing the move, and I tried to give him a little bit of room to do it, but I think he locked the brake or something early.
And from your own standpoint, mate, talk us through your night, how difficult it was to overcome that early incident in race 2. And obviously, as you say, you had that lock brake in race 1 as well. So how challenging was it, and how happy are you with the results you've gained as a result?
In all honesty, I'm just happy my force feedback worked this week. Last week I gridded up. I was in qualifying and I gridded up and had nothing. So, and the same happened to me on Monday night in the V8. So I've been fighting that for the last few days, but it's working now, so it's good. But yeah, that second race, I wound the bias back a fair bit, just to try and negate any chance of locking the front in the first lap. I decided to come in a little bit early, probably a lot earlier than I should, because I was just caught up in a bit of a battle pack, so I was losing too much time. And yeah, I probably came in way too early, sort of come out in a little bit of traffic, probably a bit more than I was hoping for. And then yeah, I just forgot to wind the bias back when I was having that good battle with Angus. And yeah, just overcooked the brakes a bit in that left-hander and just lost the rear.
Those 1%ers make all the difference at the end, don't they?
They definitely do in these cars. I mean, especially the bias. Like, the bias in these things is massive. There's a lot of speed to be had if you know how to manipulate them. But yeah, it was just an honest mistake. And honestly, I completely disregarded trying to practice the pit entry this week. I was more focused on lap speed, because I only bought the track like 2 days ago. So, and yeah, made a meal of the pit entry, braked about 100 metres too early. So I probably lost the second there as well. So a few little small areas which I can work on, which is just inexperience. But overall pace, I'm very, very happy. Race pace, I'm only, 3/4 of a second behind the front guys. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Thoughts on what's to come, mate? I mean, Spa next week, Bathurst the week after, tracks that everyone loves, tracks that attract big grids. How are you feeling?
Bathurst, obviously, I'm really looking forward to that. These things are quite challenging around there compared to a V8. But Spa, it's going to be a tough one. I love the track, but I just can't drive to save my life. I just can never seem to find the pace that other guys have in officials, in anything really. But yeah, I'll just put some laps in, see what happens. I was thinking about doing some laps after this, but I might grab a beer and watch some of the open golf, because I was a bit of a golfer myself. So
okay,
yeah, might just have a bit of a break, and yeah, just put some laps in tomorrow.
It's interesting that you say that, because as we know, Benny's got the PGA livery on the car there. He's a member, as he said, and I full disclaimer, folks, throughout the course of today, when I wasn't having a crack on the PlayStation or catching up with some TV that I've missed in recent weeks with busy workloads and whatnot, I was actually sitting here punching away at trying to work an amount of content from the Olympics into what's already a 3-hour sports show, with all of our other sports still going on West Bremer over the course of the next couple of weeks, and it's not going to happen. It's just going to have to be extended episodes, and I'm writing down things like rowing and canoeing and kayaking and golf and hockey and all those things that we only cover once every 4 years. I mean, the golf, obviously, we cover all the time. The majors are in town, and the live golf as well in Adelaide, but it's one of those niche sports for us on West Bremer. We are in a footy city after all, as I say. So, I know you'll enjoy the open golf, and of course that continues right through early hours tomorrow morning on Fox Sports, and of course 9 will have coverage of the Olympic golf from 2 weeks' time, with the women's and men's respectively coming up there. We're very excited about that on 9. Jake, what's next for you, mate? I mean, apart from watching some golf and putting the feet up and cracking up in Quali, what other racing is going to keep you busy between now and next week?
Probably nothing in the officials. Probably just focus on some Daytona laps in the supercar.
obviously I've made a meal of the season thus far, so I'm just looking to finish respectively from now on. So some laps for sure now that I know the force feedback's fixed. So yeah, just try and find some. I've got some decent pace there already, so just dial in the tune a little bit, and then once that's done, I'm actually trying my hand at a bit of race control as well, with helping the boys out. So I'll be doing race control on the Wednesday night production and GT4 races. But yeah, apart from that, just a bit of practice for the Porsches next week at Spa as well.
Excellent stuff, mate. Looking forward to seeing you on track then. Good luck, go well, and as you say, hopefully some respectable results coming your way in the supercars starting Monday night too.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the time.
All right, there he is, Jake Slade. Let's press on here, folks. It is 11 past 10 already. We'll try and be out of here by 10:30. I just saw the mute button go off Greg Heaney's microphone, so we'll get to the two Gregs right now, Brooksy and Heaney. Good evening, gentlemen. Nice to have you on board. Joe Baldwin's also here, and it's good to catch up with El Presidente. We'll do that in just a tick. Greg, talk me through your night. Start with Brooks first and then to Heaney. 13th in race 1, 17th in race 2. Not a clear-cut run, it's fair to say. You did lose ground in race 2. Just talk us through what happened and talk us through your thoughts on the overall night.
Hey Zach, hey Dan. Yeah, it was an interesting race too. That little blunder he's probably caught up with that I had with Nick Wood was really unfortunate. I tried to modulate the brake and just not swing into him, but it happens, and yeah, ended up just sitting there waiting for everyone to go by, and thought, well, here I go. Well, I've got to move my way through the field. So yeah, I think it was like 32nd by the time I actually got up and running again, and just tried to make a good broadcast for you and do as many overtakes as I could possibly do.
Certainly worked. I mean, although that being said, we were embroiled in whatever was going on up front, and there was fantastic racing at the pointy end of town. Benny Pedersen's charge through the field in race 2, most specifically. I mean, when we have a look at what's coming up, we've now got these sprint rounds behind us, mate. Talk to me about. Because I mean, I'm going down the same line of question with everybody, but talk to me about the Hungaroring. Is it a racetrack that you like, or is it a racetrack that you loathe? Talk to me about race formats. Do you like these sprint nights, or do they prove to be a bit of a headache for you?
Well, first of all, I quite like Hungaroring, and I enjoy it on this car. It's really difficult. I heard the other boys saying earlier on that this is a very, very technical car, and it's difficult to drive, and I learn so much from this car, so I enjoy driving it. I'm not the fastest dude ever, but once I'm on song, I'm not too bad, and so yeah, it's a great track. I do enjoy the sprint races. I think it's a lot of fun. You know, you have a blunder first race, and you have a chance to maybe fix that up again in race 2. But I also do like the longer distance stuff. I'm very much an endurance driver, so try and do a long race in these cars is going to be a tough task, especially for the guys that don't know how to manage their tyres.
And on that subject, I mean, we look at the Revolution E-Racing stable and everybody around you. Poor old Adam Burhock couldn't take a trick. Race 1, it all went tits up again.
Yeah, my bad. I was watching out for I don't know who it was. Just took a dive in between me and the car beside, and it kind of spooked me a little bit, and then inadvertently ended up trying to adjust myself, and Adam was right there, and I was spewing about that, but he didn't care. He was like, play on, off we go, and yeah, we just continued on, and yeah, tried to make up as best we could.
I didn't actually see the incident. You didn't have to dob yourself in there, mate, but I appreciate you taking one for the team, as they say. In saying that, he made a good recovery in race 2, got himself back up into 18th spot to complement your 17th, so he essentially followed you home. How are you guys set for the rest of the season? You must be looking forward to Spa. That's the next stop. Straight line speed is king there.
Yeah, after the this weekend when Spa's done, we're going to have it ingrained in our bodies, so it's going to be fun trying to unlearn the GT3 version of driving it and then relearn it in the P-Cup car, because completely different animal. It may look similar to the GT3 Porsche, but it's going to be a lot of fun to drive next to the so we're hoping we can really give a show of next week. Unfortunately, Trent in race 2 ended up having a disconnect and lost what position he'd already had. I'm pretty sure he was up in the top 5 before his disconnect, so that's a bit unfortunate, and so it ended up just falling down to Adam and I to finish this race tonight.
Yeah, unfortunate, as you say, for Trent. He was one of, what did we work it out to be, 5 or 6 retirements in the end there. And as good as the advancements in technology in the real world have been, they can still falter and plague our fun in the sim world. So obviously the 24 this weekend, is that'll be the big assignment for the team. GT3 again on Monday night for some of you on our platforms as well. What else?
Trent and I will most likely be jumping in on V8s again. We're very keen for Daytona. We've been cutting some laps and having a good time throwing those cars around. And hopefully, if we can, maybe some formulas. We haven't quite worked on that. I think we might need some recovery after the Spa 24 hour.
Well, that's exactly right. I think the Spa 24 and then 90 minutes on Monday night and 40 minutes next Thursday night, I think it's going to prove that you can sometimes have too much of a good thing.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, mate. Hey, very nicely done. Nice to get through the Hungaroring. Maybe not necessarily the best spectator racing that we'll see this season, but as you say, the vast majority of the field like the circuit because it does test the driver, and it certainly did that tonight. Well done on your 2 results, as we say, in the end there. What was it, 13th and 17th? So good results, some nice points in the kitty, and press on to Spa. Go well.
No worries, thanks, Zach.
Greg Heaney, talk us through the night for the Whiskey Business Stable. Let's start with the fact that I had noticed that there was the word none next to Ryan Preston's name on our timing sheet here, where it says team name, but I couldn't help but notice that you've done some midweek recruiting once more.
No, I recruited him 2 weeks ago. Last week he put his livery on, but he put it on the wrong set for his car, so that's why he had his other livery on, and this week he made sure it was sorted, and yeah, so. But no, he is definitely running for us. But yeah, first things first off the bat, these things float compared to an LMP car. It's insane. After 40 minutes around Zolder in the LMP2 and then jumping into one of these things, is a hell of an adjustment.
Well, they are. I mean, they're not similar circuits in any way, shape or form. Yep, they're on the same continent. We covered that off at the start of the night. They're both narrow. We covered that off as well. But they play completely differently, not least to mention that the 2 cars are chalk and cheese as well.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But no, I want to congratulate the boys in the Aiden and Jackson in the LMPs. Jackson got a 5th place. He did really, really well. Unfortunately, Aiden, I think he actually copped the drive-through penalty on the last lap. I think he was just about to start the last lap, and he copped it on the curbing, I think, on the last chicane. So that was unlucky for him. I had a great handful of laps there with Starkey when he came out of the pits, so that should I'm hoping it made the broadcast. If not, I'm sure Chris will throw some pretty good photos up of that one. As for the Porsches, race 1, flirting with the drive-through again. I think I was on 14 of 15 at one point. Race 2, I was just happy to make it to the end and race fairly cleanly. I keep having to remind myself that it is a mixed category race, and my track position doesn't necessarily represent my grid position. I managed to jump on the stream, and you had the results up for the open split, and I'm like, oh, I actually finished 7th. Happy with that.
Yes. Yeah. And up 6 spots as well, mate. So, I mean, yep, okay, there was a little bit of attrition, but you did have to still, go through the motions of 14 laps in 27 minutes, or not quite 27 in the end, we've already covered that off. But B, you also had to get through the early stages where the field was bunched up. There was a couple of incidents that you had to avoid, so you had to ride your luck at times too. So the fact that you were able to tick the box, finish the race, get up 6 spots, that's a good night out.
Oh yeah, and compared to being, I think I was on 8x, I think I was 10 incident points before turn 5, race 1, lap 1. So that was interesting.
Indeed. And as far as the circuit's concerned, as you say, I mean, not easy for overtaking. I mean, we've already heard from a few of the boys tonight. You had to take some risks to net the reward, but you also, I mean, if you wanted to make those moves, you had to do them early because the field very quickly spanned out, as was already mentioned by another one of the drivers here. So, as we can see on screen here, you had a very lonely sort of run to the finish line until Brett Bradbury came along. I believe he chased you to the start-finish line, but beyond that, it was fairly quiet.
Yeah, I was just happy to keep it between the white lines for the most part of race 2. Ryan, unfortunately, had a few offs and ended up parking it in the end. So him and I were having a good little run along, and I tried to let him pass at turn 5, I think, and he's like, he couldn't quite get it turned in and gave me a little bump on the way through the corner, but there was nothing in it, so didn't worry about it. Team on team was like, yeah, play on. Same as Brooksy's little incident. But no, it was good night of racing. I'm still happy with the results and happy to make the end. So. Yep.
Absolutely, and as you say, I mean, to keep it clean around here, to keep it on the black stuff, to stay out of trouble, and to still make some ground as well, and that's not been an easy thing to do. Yeah, you ticked all the boxes, you got through the night, and now we can press on to next week. I mean, the LMP2s, let me quickly get some comments from you on that. Zolder, also probably not the best racetrack for those cars either, but you play with the cards you dealt, as they say in the classics. So what are you thinking about next week's doubleheader? Of course, we've got the LMP2 cars on track from Motegi, and then of course we'll go to, as we said, with the Porsches there earlier to Spa.
By the end of next week, I'm going to know Spa with my eyes closed.
That's it. Won't have to even practice, Greg.
No, it's exactly right. I mean, we've got obviously the team. We're doing the 24 this weekend. We've got Spa for Monday night. I think we've also then got Spa on Tuesday as well for the SFLs, I think. And then back to Spa again with the Porsches. I don't think it is too much of a good thing. But it's definitely a good track to drive. But as some of the other guys have said, it can be hard to find the speed in certain sections of the track. Myself versus Aiden, as an example, in a practice session, he comes out, throws a baseline setup in a Lamborghini, and then blitzes us by 3 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, thanks, go away.
Yep, exactly. Thanks, but stay because it's netting.
Yeah, let's stay because you're driving for us, but go away.
Yeah, exactly. Go away, make us and stop making us look silly. Now, obviously, you talk about next week. Yeah, Tuesday night, you are right, for Super Formula Light. It's a 60-minute race there. The only main course race next week, in which we're not coming here, is Wednesday night with GT4 because we're also here for IndyCar next Friday night. Jesus, I'll be sick of Spa by the end of next week because I'm here Monday, Thursday and Friday bloody night as well. Fair dinkum.
Well, at least we'll know all the corner names properly.
Well, that's exactly right. At least we'll know the Camel Straight and No Rouge and, and Puyong and the corner with no name and the bus stop and all that sort of stuff. We'll know all of that by this time next week. We'll know it off the back of our hand. It'll be great. There was something else I was going to say with regards to racing around the Hungaroring, but I think we've done that to death now. The stable mates, give us an update with regards to Super Formula Lights because some of us aren't seeing it this season. How are we placed there after 2 rounds?
Well, we're doing okay. I've turned up for both weeks so far. Andrew Neal jumped in this week. I think he finished. I can't remember. There's been so much on and work and all the other stuff. It's just turning into a blur at the moment. Jackson and Aiden couldn't make it this week. Aiden was having internet troubles, and I think Jackson had other things on. So, but no, we're doing okay. I was hoping that I'd be able to get more of the boys on to be able to possibly try and take up half of the grid that would potentially represent GSRC for the end of season bash with SRW.
Yep.
But I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. Interesting. Developing news out of the Whiskey Business Stable on a Thursday night. Okay.
Well, I was hoping because I've got enough people. We've got enough to represent half the grid.
True. And I don't disagree with that. In fact, by the end of the season, the way you recruit, you'd have enough to fill the grid. But
are you posing a challenge?
No. I don't think I need to pose a challenge at all. I think you'd happily do it. But no, I'll let you continue that conversation offline with El Presidente. Very nicely done, Greg. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that.
No worries. Thanks for the stream, guys, and go well.
And to Joe Baldwin to finish things off. He's got a point. I reckon the Whiskey Business Stable would be able to fill half the grid, but I don't know if that would be fair on everybody else. Maybe we could just paint the rest of the grid in Whiskey Business colours. Speaking of whiskey, a risky sort of night at the Hungaroring, Joe, and you got caught up in a couple of incidents early in the piece.
Yeah, a bit of whiskey probably would have calmed the nerves a little bit after that start in race 2.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's it's sort of been a theme, like just aggression on the first couple of laps has been pretty wild, and racing room and whatnot. So yeah, hopefully we can get a clean start. But I got back to a decent finish in the end. I think I was 3rd in the group in race 2. I was having a good battle actually with Greg and his teammate Ryan. I think it is Ryan Preston. There in the middle, and I had the pace on, so I thought I'll duck in and fuel up to get me home. And I managed to jump Greg, and I think Ryan might have had an incident down at turn 1 the lap after he came out of the pit. So bit of a free kick there at the end after the shenanigans on lap 1 anyway.
Indeed. And I need to ask you this as well, mate. I mean, Eduardo Zamora picking up the win in there in race 2 in the open split. I mean, if I was a gambling man, and I'm not, but if I was, I can't see Angus Lawford staying in the open split for too much longer. I think promotion's looming for him, which opens up playing field in the open split against.
You think? Yeah, you can't sort of go and run 5th overall and stay in open. That's not going to happen. So, no, Adam, we were saying that in our Discord, like, it looks like he's going up. But yeah, it could also be just a track dependent thing. It might just be that he gels well with this track. I mean, I was trying through work commitments and whatnot. I knew this was probably going to be a bit of an Achilles heel. I think I've done one race here in the Porsche about 9 months ago, 12 months ago, and I haven't been back since. So, and it's a very tricky track. Like, it's got a little bit of everything in it. Like, so Yeah, a lot of off tracks too, where you wouldn't think there would be. So, but I managed to, like, within my open group, I managed to sort of run with the pace of them, and Zamora got me by a couple of, by about a second, I think, in lap time, and yeah, he certainly got the points on me in that second race. But I think we might have got the win in the first one, depending on how Ed scores it.
And yeah, well, that's exactly right. And on the subject, as you say, a bit of an Achilles heel, so it sounds as though you're happy to see the back of this circuit.
No, not as such. Like I say, if work hadn't stopped me from practicing, I would have done some laps, but my qualifying, I think I did 5 laps in practice and then went into qualifying, so I mean, look, I do it all the time. I never practice pretty much anywhere, but this was one that I should have, and I just didn't get around to it. So it's it's good to come out with probably what's a decent points haul in the end, considering there was no practice. But I mean, you probably ask 80% of the guys in here, and they'd all say the same thing, that they haven't practiced. So it's all by the by, really.
Indeed, and. I mean, from a club standpoint, mate, we've had 2 exhilarating weeks to start the season. The saturation of Spa awaits next week, and of course, you're front and centre for IndyCar tomorrow night.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. No, certainly looking forward to getting the IndyCars up on track tomorrow night. It's where are we? We are at Red Bull Ring.
Yep.
So that's a fantastic venue in the IndyCars. I think the last time we ran IndyCars, they were there, and there was about 7 guys. I think they were all fighting for the top 3 positions. So yeah, it should. If we get the numbers tomorrow night, which going off the way we had the last couple of weeks, we shouldn't have much trouble. Even Mountain Men last week, I think we had 36 cars or something, I think, in the Riley, or 32 or 33 cars started the race in the Riley last week. It was probably one of the biggest Mountain Men races. So the membership base at the moment's really getting behind the club, and it's showing with the product on track once we get past lap 3. I guess it's always a bit scrappy in the first couple of laps, but you're gonna get that, you know, with a fresh influx of drivers and teams and whatnot. So it's good to see, going from strength to strength.
Indeed. And Mountain Men Saturday night, mate. Quickly plug that one for me, please.
MX5s, and if the numbers that we generally get for MX5s times what we've been doing the last couple of weeks equals MX5 mayhem. I'm guessing this Saturday night. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get 40 cars. You know, even going off the numbers we had last week, we were only just shy of that. I think 36 or 37 might have joined the server, and 32 or 3 I think took the green, but that's in a car that it's a legacy. So the MX5 I think should be a good night Saturday night. I don't know how well I'm going to go getting through the field, because we had some pretty fast guys in there the other night, and it was just luck that we got up, that I managed to top 5 out of it. But yeah, no, it should be a great race coming Saturday night with the MX5s.
Excellent. And of course, Spa next week in the Porsche, mate. How are you feeling about that?
Spa, it's a track I love, but I'm not good there. But I think last time we were there, I had a good race with Adam. So if I can I don't lead real well. I can race well, and if I get behind somebody who's generally faster than me, I can usually hang on to them. So if I can find one of these guys that I'm roughly in the pace in the elite, I might be able to get me a good result against the open guys. But I know, I think last time we ran GT3 there, Zamora was fast in the GT3, so he'll certainly put up a challenge next week in the open class.
Indeed he will. All right, looking forward to it immensely, mate. And promise you, I'm back with you next Friday night. I missed this Friday night due to local AFL, but I'm back next Friday night and looking forward to it.
Next Friday night, I think we have Spa
again.
So you'll certainly know all your corners and your braking zones and your and everything, mate. You'll be on the ball. We'll lubed up, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be a Road America or Bathurst type field to Spa by this time next week. I know Nick Vodiatis in the past has been rather critical of too much Road America or too much Bathurst in a season. I think Spa's going to get its quota next week, but we're looking forward to it immensely. Good on you, Trucker. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. Did you say too much Bathurst? There's no such thing.
Apparently not, no. As evidenced by every Saturday night with you.
Bingo. Thanks, mate.
All right, mate. Great work as always. Thank you. Appreciate that. There he is, Trucker Joe Baldwin. Daniel Correa-Sar, some final thoughts from you. And yes, folks, Dan's just been sitting there in silence for the last 45 minutes or so. Mate, great to have so many drivers come in and have a chat with us post-race.
100%. 100%. It's always good to have people when they want to come in and say a few words. My job is primarily to push buttons, so I'll just let you do all the talking, and I just cut where I need to, do everything that I need to do. Look, I really enjoyed tonight's race, to be honest. I think the LMP2s were great around Zolder. There was also some pretty spicy battles going up towards the front as the time ticked down. But overall, yeah, really good race. Really weird about what happened to, and of course I've gone blank. I apologise. But went in early and we didn't know what was going on, and then just took out of the session. Can't remember who that was, but
Aaron Cooper and
that's it, Aaron Cooper. So apologies,
yeah.
Aaron. But yeah, that was a really weird one. And of course, Trent Laver's deciding that he wanted to go for the pole vault record in an LMP2 car coming into the pits. And then as for the Porsches, yeah, it's a great development. It's nice to see that there are other people in contention for these races other than Matthew Dent. You know, it sounds like a dig. I promise I'm not. It's just very refreshing, where I remember very fondly in previous seasons it was similar to what's happening now. It's like Max is out in front and then there's everyone else.
Yep.
You know, but now it looks like that Ben Pedersen had a really good showing there. Rain Campbell absolutely smashed it in that second one. Of course, Ben did have that issue, which we got to see in the replay as Rain was talking there, where he did stall the car, and that, of course, didn't help him coming out of the pits. But in any case, still a well-deserved drive from both those guys, and I'm very keen to see, as we get further and further in the rounds, just how close that gap can come, because I know Dench won't take that lying down, and I'm sure he'll go out there and try and put some more work in the sim or whatnot. But then when everybody is firing on all cylinders, we're the ones that reap the reward.
Absolutely. I mean, as I said tonight, maybe not necessarily the greatest spectator spectacle this evening, but as you've heard from all the drivers in the post-race there, a good chunk of them enjoyed the onus on that being a driver's track. So they, tight, technical, twisty, challenging, very much a case of you got to be switched on from go to woe. You don't have too much time to, stop thinking along the way. You've got to hit your markers, or otherwise you pay the price. And as I was saying with Greg Heaney there, it was. He was feeling a little bit despondent with regards to his result until he realised that he was actually in the top 10 within the ranks of his class, and that makes all the difference in the end, with this being a same car, same spec sort of thing, but two classes within the race there. Not dissimilar to what we see with the real world stuff as well, particularly here in Australia. And on that subject, we wish everybody there the best of luck this weekend at Sydney Motorsport Park. Two main traits to racing around here being you got to pick your battles, and Benny Pedersen was very open and honest about the fact that he wound up the risk factor and accepted that risk. But thankfully it didn't end up being anything detrimental for him tonight. It worked out in his favour. But also, of course, you had to get on and get the job done quickly, or otherwise, as you saw there, the guys at the front just saw their opportunity to bolt. There weren't too many winners and losers in terms of strategy. You kind of then just had to wait for cars to fall off around you, and there were only fair point too, fair play to everybody, that there wasn't too much in the way of attrition tonight either. So that's a good sign of things going forward. We couldn't do what we do here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club without the great support of people like Waste Options, Spreyton Cider, the main naming rights sponsor of the club, and Thursday Night Motorsport, of course. The great people at merch.GSRC.inc. Pete Matson and his crew at Orbic Australia, Trent Lavis, Lobesy Racing, M-Wave Australia, and good on you, John Simpson, Flash Graphics. Let's have a look at what's coming your way on the platforms of the GSRC across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Joe Baldwin with you tomorrow night, IndyCar, Red Bull Ring, 45 laps, 65 minutes. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The boys will be with you for that one, and I look forward to jumping back into the booth this time next week for that. Saturday, Mountain Men, as you've already heard, Trucker Joe, MX5 Mania Mayhem, whatever you want to call it. It'll be magic from Mount Panorama Bathurst Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for 32 laps, 200 kilometres, or close enough to it. Monday night, Adam Lavis and I with you, and be mindful of this too, ladies and gentlemen, longer broadcast on Monday night. I mean, hard to top the length of this Monday night just gone because we doubled up with rounds 1 and 2 of the supercars. But next week, longer at the back end of the night, so a later finish. We'll be with you till about 11 o'clock next Monday night. And the reason for that is that we're going to the Daytona Road Course first up for the supercars, over 25 minutes from 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll be on air with you for that. And then from 8:30 p.m. through till just after 10 o'clock, the Waste Options GT3 Pro-Am Series from the Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium, the first of 3 90-minute races on the schedule for this season. Tuesday night, have a look at this. The Renault 2.0 from the Rd-2 Motor Centre. Yeah, we're going Norwegian on Tuesday night. 10 minutes for the first race, 15 for the next 2. Full reverse grid for race 2. Top 10 invert for race 3, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Rings and Slicks, Super Formula Lights for Spreyton Cider. Yep, that track again. Spa, 60 minutes, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday night. Open wheel night on the Tuesdays in Term 3 of 2024. The Production Car Challenge brings in the GT1s for the first time this season from Sebring International. Full course, not half course like what we saw with Formula V. 15 minutes for race 1, 25 for race 2, top 10 reverse grid, and that'll be 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Then I am looking forward to this. On to Mugello, 8:45 Eastern Standard Time for GT4. That'll be good fun there. 40 minutes the journey from Mugello for the latest round of GT4. Thursday night, we've already done it to death. Daniel and I back with you for Motegi first up for the LMP2s, the DownForce Legends, and Spa-Francorchamps next up for 40 minutes for the Porsche Cup. So a pair of 40-minute races next week here on the platforms of the GSRC. So it's been a long while since we've had just one race in both the entree and the main course on a Thursday night. That happens next Thursday night, and we're very much looking forward to it for another edition, another dose of Thursday Night Motorsport, with thanks to the great people at Spreyton Cider. I think we need some Spreyton Cider after that one, actually, quite frankly. It's been a big night. I know there'll be people very happy about that one, people despondent, people happy to see the back of it, people wishing for more of it. We've enjoyed it. We hope you have as well. Don't forget, Tour de France continues on SBS. The Tour, the Open Championship, rather, the British Open Golf on Fox Sports. So a lot of Thursday night, late night hour sort of motorsport, of sport rather, to sink your teeth into on the back of 3 and a bit hours of motorsport here for you throughout the course of the night. We sincerely hope that you've enjoyed it. Rain Campbell and Ben Pedersen getting the job done in the pro split. We suspect Angus Lawford is on his way there. And of course, earlier tonight, LMP2, Matt Distill owning the show once more, but not without some serious pressure every step of the way. As I say, we'll all be sparred out by this time next week, but join us 7:30 next Thursday night for Spreyton Cider Thursday Night Motorsport, and all the action from, as we say, first up, it'll be the LMP2s, and we're looking forward to that, and then on to the Porsches. So Motegi and Spa on the agenda next Thursday night. On behalf of Daniel Correa-Sar and all the broadcast commentary and production team here from the Hungaroring, the virtual Hungaroring, where this weekend Formula One takes centre stage, we say a very good night to you. Thanks so much for coming along for the ride on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We sincerely hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you, and wish you all the very best for a big weekend ahead. Don't forget, complimenting the British Open and the Tour de France, the NRL, the AFL, Of course, the Tour de France wraps up early hours Monday morning, just for by the by, ladies and gentlemen, for the night hours there. The finale of Formula E, NASCAR continues, IndyCar as well. So too Formula One. Even the supercars are on this weekend, but we won't focus too much on that. And of course, there's plenty of other great local sport happening right around the region, wherever you live. So no excuse not to get out and absorb some sport this weekend. Sink your teeth into it, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be well worth the price of admission. We're into the semi-final stage of the Suncorp Super Netball. The Rugby Union Internationals continue with the Saturday afternoon affair. The NRLW starts next Thursday night. There is just so much to be excited about at this time of the year. And of course, next Wednesday night, all eyes on Paris, as they will be for the following 2.5 weeks. So, with that in mind, thanks for your company. We hope that you'll come back and join us again, same time, same place, next week, when week 3 of term 2 gets underway. Week 3 of term 3, I should say. Week 2 of term 3 is done for you, with the exception of tomorrow night and the IndyCars. We hope you'll join Joe Baldwin for that. But night 4 of week 2 of term 3 is over and out. On behalf of Daniel Criasar and all the crew here, I'm Zach Caban. Until we see you next time, have a great evening, everybody. Bye for now.
Thank you.